Alright, hello and welcome to another episode of DiploStrats. I'm CaptainMeme, I'm here once again with Ezio. Hi Ezio.
Hello, hello.
And we are here to commentate the qualifiers of the DiploStrats Gauntlet. This is our first tournament run for our community. It was run on our Discord server, the link will be in the description below. And we live streamed the grand final. You can find that video on the channel as well, I'll link that in the description too. There were 5 qualifier games. The person who topped each qualifier board got into the final, and then 2 of the second places got into the final, which myself and Ezio chose. So today we're going to be looking at DiploStrats Gauntlet Qualifier Game number 1, which is what you see on the screen right now. You may also note that instead of the usual player names on the power rankings, we have the countries. That's because we're recording these in a bit of a batch, so I can't modify them mid-game. But the player names...
hide to 1, because the player names are in the final, and if we have the player names in here, then they'd know who won as soon as they looked at the game. This way it leaves it a little bit ambiguous. They don't know.
That is a very good point. It is a spoiler barrier. I will use that as the excuse instead of the fact that I can't be bothered changing the names between all of the recordings. But the player names will be in the description below as well if you want to take a look. So, shall we get right into this? Ezio, anything interesting you note about this board to start?
This is a pretty standard 1901 in the spring. Russia opened north is maybe the least common. The French opening is technically non-standard moves, but it's still very classic France, gonna conquer Iberia and still contest Belgium a little bit. So I'd say this is the very standard spring of 1901.
Yeah, so with this specific order set, usually you see it when you have a bounce in Burgundy arranged, and then this is kind of a Lisbon, I think it's called the Lisbon Leapfrog, where France then convoys Gascony to Portugal, moves Marseille into Spain, and then still has the fleet in Mid-Atlantic Ocean at the end of the year, which allows them to be super aggressive against England. But here, it's resulted in a pretty normal situation with the armies in Burgundy and Gascony instead. It would be... I mean, this is, an absolutely fine position to be in as well, because if Italy has gone to Piedmont, you can just bounce them out from Burgundy and still take your Spain and Portugal centres, right? I like this opening.
Yep, I do too. It's totally fine. Nothing crazy.
Yep, and we're looking at Italy setting up for the standard, convoy over to Tunis as well. There is a demilitarized Galicia, which is a little bit unusual, but not so unusual that it's that noteworthy.
Yeah, it's especially common when Russia opens north.
Yes, because Russia usually wants to still have 2 on Romania, and they can't do that if they're bouncing in Galicia. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Austria chooses to do with that second army in Budapest now, because... this is one of the things that I always find a bit interesting about a Galicia DMZ. Usually Vienna will bounce with Venice in Trieste. Sometimes it goes to Budapest instead, but when it goes to Budapest, there's not that much for it to do except contest Russia in Romania.
Well, it could bounce in Trieste, but in the fall this time.
Yes, but then if you're doing that, why didn't you just bounce in Trieste in the spring?
This gives you options.
Fair enough, I guess.
Right, it means that Russia can be like, hey, please support me into Romania, and you can say no.
Yes, indeed. Right, so, well, shall we just move on to the fall, then?
Yeah, let's see it.
Alright, fall 1901. Oh, you were right, they bounced in Trieste in the fall.
Yeah, so one of the things that it's important to mention is that CaptainMeme and I have looked at all of these games, these qualifiers. We obviously had to see who won and stuff. It was a couple of weeks ago, and I've tried not to remember exactly what's going to happen, but if things feel familiar and we make predictions that seem accurate for no reason. It's not that we know the games, it's just that we're really smart.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I mean, my memory is notoriously terrible. That's why DiploStrats works in the first place, because I'm really bad at remembering what happened in certain games. So in my case, it will actually be a genius prediction. But
Well,
yeah, in Ezio's case, it probably also will be a fairly genius prediction. Just maybe with a little bit of memory to add as well. Um,
yeah, it's not going to be like I remember any specific move. It's that like a position feels familiar to me.
mhm.
And then it'll get me the, I don't know, the heebie-jeebies. I don't know what you want to call it.
Yes. Oh, well, so there's a lot of interesting stuff that happens in this phase, right? We get, especially with Russia. That's what I'd immediately look at. I mean, do
Russia
you?
ending up in the Black Sea is very significant. I think it's the most significant move of this phase.
Yes, it's huge. And just getting to walk into Romania completely unopposed at the same time. Uh,
Yeah. And
my,
also walked into Sweden unopposed.
yes, no bounce from Germany, which is actually, I'd say no bounce from Germany there is more common than bouncing, just because you do generally want to keep people on side for the first year as Germany, just to, well, keep Russia on side unless you absolutely know you're committing against them or they're committing against you, because it gives you more options going into year two, right? Um, but yeah, good negotiation on the Russian side, it looks like. And they go into Finland as well, which allows for them to build in St. Petersburg and have three on Norway immediately. Uh, so, super aggressive line from Russia in both theatres at once. That's a very bold opening.
Yeah, but if Germany and Austria are both on side, then this works fantastically. And you don't get into the Black Sea unless Turkey's on side. So if everyone wants to be your friend, you can move anything anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Slightly interesting as the global scheme, every neutral center was actually captured in 01, which is, I think, unusual. I think usually in more than half of the games, something is unconquered, usually Belgium or Sweden, but
Yes. Um, I definitely agree on that. And it's interesting because it looks like Belgium was taken because Germany was scared of France going into Munich rather than because there was some agreement there, right? I mean, there presumably was an agreement there anyway, but Germany isn't like trusting France at all or supporting them in or whatever. They are just going back and covering themselves. And France isn't getting support from England either. I mean, you wouldn't expect support from England with the Army St. Petersburg because they might get bounced out of Norway if they do that. It just looks like France gets a triple build without having any very secure friendships that are obvious from the board, which is a little bit, that could go badly for them.
yeah, being first place but also having no friends means you're an easy target.
Yes. I'm actually interested now that I'm looking at Black Sea. I immediately assumed that it was a stab, right? I guess it could be an agreed thing of you can have Black Sea, but I don't think that's a good idea for Turkey. Uh, it-
Yeah,
yeah, it depends a bit on whether they're anticipating a Lepanto, right? In which case they kind of needed to get the Ankara fleet out, but because of this move to Con, they couldn't. We've got a separate video on, on exactly why this opening kind of locks you down. Um, but if you're in this position, you have the Ankara fleet trapped behind your line. You generally just want to keep Russia out of Black Sea for at least a little bit longer until you know you're being attacked in the south. Because Italy can quite easily pivot out of this into into an attack on Austria or something else. Yeah. So, anything else you want to talk about here?
not too much. Just gonna reiterate that I also don't like letting Russia into the Black Sea like this as Turkey. Um, I feel like you're practically forced to build Fleet Smyrna in this position to try to hold off against the Lepanto. And if you build Fleet Smyrna and Russia builds Army Sev, you can't keep them out of Armenia, and you die so quickly. So at this point, if I'm Russia, I'm going to build army Sevastopol and something in St. Petersburg, unclear what, and then try to coordinate with Austria against you as Turkey. So I wouldn't. I would always bounce the Black Sea here.
Yes. Yeah,
But that's because I'm a paranoid little freak.
no, I completely agree. I think it's correct to be a paranoid little freak in these games. I mean, sometimes trusting people is important, right? But trusting people this much right off the bat is not a good idea generally. Especially
Feels
because
scary to me.
yeah, especially because Russia and Black Sea, it has a distinct advantage a little later into the game once Austria and Italy have position to get into Bulgaria, right? So generally once they force their way into Aegean. But right now it's not needed for your defense, so you should just be asking Russia, please don't. And then you deny them the chance to build in Sevastopol as well, so...
It is a thing where if Russia being in Black Sea to support whole Bulgaria means you're able to move a fleet in Constantinople into Aegean Sea to help keep them bounced. So it is more useful defensively if you think you can trust Russia. It's just you can't always trust Russia.
I don't know if it's that important on the first move, right? In the first, like, at least wait until spring 1902 so they can't build something to screw you over in Sevastopol. This is the important thing.
Yeah, no, again, I'm agreeing with bouncing the Black Sea here. It's just, it does have some value. Like, if you truly, if I was controlling both Turkey and Russia here, I would let Russia into the Black Sea here. Notably, I would have opened differently in spring. I would have not bounced in the Black Sea at all. I would have just shipped Ankara straight to Constantinople. But whatever, to each their own.
Fair enough, yes. Yeah, so, shall we go ahead to the winter?
Let's see some builds.
Alright, winter 1901. Double army from Austria, which is to be expected. Fleet Naples, also expected. Fleet Smyrna. Fleet Sevastopol. That's an interesting choice.
Yeah, interesting. That's the word I'd use to describe it. Yep, definitely.
And nothing in St. Petersburg? Did this Russia forget what opening they made?
You know how much you hate Fleet St. Petersburg?
Yes.
I think that's how I feel about Fleet Sevastopol.
See, this is one of the rare cases where I agree with you. I hate Fleet Sevastopol as well. So, this is... The big problem, like, I can generally see the reason for it. If you've slipped a fleet into Romania, you build the second one and then force your way into Black Sea, right? But even then, it's not great offensively, because you then get, like, have some problems defending Romania and Sevastopol. If Turkey gets units into position to tap both those fleets, the fact that it's a fleet is utterly useless, because you can't really use it to support into Black Sea. And then the fact that it's not an army is really vital, because you can't retreat into, like, Galicia or Ukraine if you get attacked successfully. So, I really hate double fleet, but, like, the one situation where I can see it being useful is where you need to take Black Sea, and Russia already has Black Sea, so this doesn't make any sense to me.
I just think that building the second fleet in the south as Russia is so bad. That fleet is so one-dimensional and isn't even particularly effective at the one dimension that it is. Like, yes, sometimes you want to build a fleet to force Black Sea, but trying to force Black Sea to then attack Turkey is pretty inefficient anyways. Like, it just doesn't go great. So, yeah, ick. And then with the fleet Sevastopol, I understand why you can't build in St. Petersburg. Obviously, you would leave yourself way too exposed to Austria attacking you. So, yeah. But I think the answer was to build an army, not a fleet. and then make progress to the north.
Yeah,
Oh
the
well,
the one situation
that
where
could
I
be
see
fun.
this making sense is if Turkey had basically said, "Hey, if you build army Sevastopol, I know you're going to attack me," right? And so Russia still wants to attack Turkey, but they don't want to let on to Turkey that they're attacking them, so they go, "Okay, well, I'll build fleets." But then surely as Turkey, you see this and you go, "Well, that's also going to attack me, right? There's nothing else for it
Yeah,
to
it's like you
do."
could make the crazy Russia plus Turkey thing where you let Russia through Constantinople into the Aegean. Um, like that's a thing that happens sometimes that can be useful, but it's more useful if Turkey doesn't have a fleet in Ankara, because currently only one of those fleets can start shuffling out quickly, right?
Yes.
So doesn't actually help. Um, but whatever. Yeah, no, as Turkey, I'm sweating right now, but I think my best bet is to work with Austria against Russia immediately
Yes.
because Russia is in rough shape. Heh.
Yeah, and you also, if you try and do that, you can also maybe convince Austria to like do both at once, go for Romania and also go for Venice, which saves you against the Lepanto as well, which would be pretty awesome. And I think it's actually a decent strategy for Austria here because Turkey is under so much pressure. They're probably going to keep their word and provide you support into Romania, right? Um,
Yeah, because the second fleet from Russia is so committal. Like Russia can't flip the army out, right? If that's an army in Armenia and Russia's like, "Oh, actually, I need to defend myself. I'm not going to attack you anymore." Yeah, it's out of position, obviously. It moves back into Sevastopol and it's not super useful, but suddenly then it can actually help with Ukraine. This fleet in Sevastopol can never defend. So normally, right, I would be worried as Austria if that were an army in Sevastopol to then say, if I attack Russia here and then Turkey flips on me because they make peace with Russia, I'm in really bad shape. I don't really see how Turkey's going to be able to make peace with Russia here unless Russia loses like two centers and disbands those units. So,
absolutely, and I
all this to
think
say, as Austria here, I would love to attack Russia right now.
would you go in for Italy as well if Turkey asks you to
No,
do that? No.
no,
I think it's a reasonable like time to do it, right? Because
but
if
like
Italy actually does try and set up the Lepanto and go Eastern Mediterranean and Ionian Sea, you have the free take on Venice, and you can start pushing in there.
oh my God. Yeah, but that's the dot that I don't want to take right now, right? Italy's so committed against Turkey right now, right?
Yeah, fair enough. And I guess you can probably get it the following year anyway.
They're not, right?
Hmm.
Like I really want their fleet to move away from me. And so working with Italy here to say, hey, I'm gonna attack Russia here now because Russia can't defend themselves. Maybe things work out for us. Like that's a great pitch. Um,
Hmm.
most Italies do this and they want to see Austria going east, and so I'll let them do that while they go in the south and mess around. But if I attack, I feel like my position as Austria here is so good that as long as I don't screw it up, it's gonna go great. Because everyone here is playing like they need to work with me.
Hmm.
So I'll let them do that.
And
Actually, that's a fun point.
the
Right,
main
what
way
if I
you
just don't
can
even attack Russia? Yeah.
the main way you can screw it up, I guess, is if everyone, like, if you attack everyone, then you get ganged up on. That's the.
Yeah.
um, but yeah. What?
I
So, do
could
you think you
maybe.
just push into Bulgaria? I guess the fact that the Russian has two fleets trapped around the Black Sea, right, means that you can attack Russia anytime. You don't need to take it right now. Um,
Yeah, but I still would. Right now, if I were here to put me in Austria with no negotiations in a gunboat game, I'm just supporting myself into Galicia, um, from Vienna. And then I'm probably moving Trieste into Vienna, but maybe not. Yeah, probably doing that too. And then I'm just setting myself up to put pressure on Romania. And then I'm gonna talk to Turkey because presumably Turkey's talked to me. Yeah, like again, if Turkey hasn't talked to me, I can't do anything. I don't know. I would just do that. It's nice and simple. Stay safe. Don't do anything crazy. Um,
Yep. We haven't really looked at any of the builds in the West, but they're kind of all what you would expect in this position. I like that
eh,
France got a fleet down.
yeah, but only one fleet
It
on a
is
triple build.
you would generally want to put down two fleets or wave one so that you could put down a fleet next time, because I think we've covered on this channel quite a lot situations where France gets barricaded in because they don't have enough fleets to push out of their homeland, and they've built too many armies. So even if they've maxed out on the number of dots they can take, and they can't build any more fleets because they can't take anything more, right?
Yeah, and they can't push anywhere. So as France with this army build, they really have to push it into Piedmont and then move it up to Tyrolia. That's just
I,
critical.
See, I think that's sometimes true. I think if you can get the jump on England, or like get in when England isn't expecting, then you can convoy something up to Liverpool, of course, and then you're fine to have this many armies. But it does require you to be quite confident in the fact that you can get away with that. Because if England defends themselves in advance, then you're a little bit screwed there.
I think the Fourth Army does nothing to attack England effectively. So your two fleets, if you can make that convoy work, you can go for that convoy. That's great, but you still want to have Marseille in Tyrolia. You want it to be messing around at the east, doing stuff. You want to have it on the other side of the stalemate line, and you can break Germany at some point eventually. So I think with this Fourth Army, I feel very strongly that it should go east immediately.
Yeah, it's actually. So, this is a strategy that I've seen. Well, that I've used before, moving an army round Tyrolia and then attacking Munich with that. I haven't actually seen it very much, especially in our commentaries. I'm not sure I've seen it at all.
Yeah, that's because normally you don't want to build this many armies.
Yeah,
Right,
that's
if you
true.
want to be aggressive with units as France, you want those to be fleets. So,
And it's important to note that moving an army around like that is very slow and very telegraphed, right? Because you get one army, you move it into Piedmont, Germany goes, I wonder what that could possibly be doing here. And then
yeah,
they can bounce you out of Tyrolia if they have the basically spare units to do that.
no, it's very important to sell it as something other than an attack on Germany. And the good news is that an army in Tyrolia can mess with anyone, right? You can say, hey, I'm trying to keep Italy honest. Or, hey, I think that Austria is going to explode here because Russia's getting not going to defend himself. So I want to be able to tax Austria a little bit. And so you can make those pitches, and those are valuable reasons to have an army in Tyrolia. Um, the problem is when you combine it with the other armies, it's like, okay, so you're telling me you're going to have an army in Picardy, Belgium, Burgundy, and Tyrolia. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the only other thing to discuss here is the fact that St. Petersburg didn't have a build, right? That changes the calculus for England a bit, because England was previously quite screwed in the north, or very
Yeah.
dependent on German assistance. Whereas,
Yeah. It's still a little dependent, but it's not as dependent. And I think Russia was forced to do this if Russia wanted to build a fleet in Sev. So
yeah.
I think it makes sense. It's a cohesive strategy from Russia. It's just, I don't like it very much.
Fair enough. Shall we move on to the spring?
Yeah, let's see it.
Alright, spring 1902. When my page loads. There we go. Well, that's interesting. Where do you want to start here?
Let's start with, I don't know. Let's just start with the France real quick because it's nice and easy. So, hey, France made standard moves with the fleets and is, I am sure, regretting having an extra army in Marseille instead of a fleet. Because if that fleet was moving into Spain, then they'd have a lot more units to help defend against England. As is, they don't, and they're sad. England obviously attacking France at least a little bit by supporting themselves into the English Channel. That's very hostile. Meanwhile, though, England is getting blasted. Um, Whenever
Yeah.
Germany moves to huggle and bite like this, that's terrifying for England, and that's getting combined with Russia getting a third army in the north, a third unit at least. So that's bad news bears.
Yep. And, like, this is. England would have been very much relying on Germany going to Baltic Sea here and putting some pressure on Sweden in order to keep Norway at all. It looks like England made some kind of agreement with Russia of, hey, you're not going to attack me, right? This'll be fine. But that has not worked out in the slightest. I've got a
Yeah.
DiploStrats siren. Oh yeah. Yeah, and this bounce in Ruhr and support into Burgundy, it looks like might be hostile to both, but this could very easily have been an arranged bounce in Ruhr, right?
I think that arranged, but it's got to be arranged. What
Mhm.
else is Holland doing?
Yeah, because otherwise Holland would be tapping Belgium or something or supporting
Yeah.
in. And the fact that Germany moved into Heligoland Bight seems to indicate that they have an agreement with France to attack England.
Well, it seems to indicate that Germany wants to attack England for sure.
Mhm.
But I don't know. France only has 2 fleets. I don't really see how France can attack England too effectively right now.
It is true,
Um,
like, these French moves aren't particularly anti England. The only reason they look anti England is because England opposed them, right? This could have very easily been an arranged bounce in English Channel that England just decided, hey, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to force my way in instead. Uh, yeah. Well, seems
sure.
like a very tough situation for England in any case. Goodbye, Norway army. Interesting question here. Do you try and convoy the Norway army back? Um,
Eh,
I think I
probably
probably
not.
do.
Like, I guess. I just don't. I don't know, man. I want to have 3 fleets still.
Hmm. See,
I don't believe in like the keeping an army on the British mainland thing. I refuse.
what
I want my fleets to do stuff.
we talk about like having an army in the British mainland really does help. Obviously, it cripples your expansion possibility quite substantially. But if you're definitely going to come under attack, it is a very nice thing to have.
Yeah, but I don't think I'm definitely gonna come under attack like ever. I always believe I can talk my way out of it.
Fair enough. Yeah. Okay.
So
Um.
keeping the army there, it means that I'm less useful to anyone else because I have fewer units that can do things to harass other people. It means I can't grow as easily, and it means that I'm just going to sit there and wait for somebody to kill me, and who knows how long it's going to take for that person to kill me. Eventually, it's going to happen. I'm going to make them take an extra year. Oh no, how sad. A fleet, if I want to be dirtling, a fleet in Liverpool is still pretty effective against France. Like, and you know what? The fleet in London means I can maybe hold the North Sea for a little longer, as opposed to having an extra army sitting in Yorkshire. Like, fleets are great. I'm England. Let me have fleets when I'm on 3 centers.
Fair enough, I guess. I think I would probably convoy back regardless here. Like, so throw a support hold on the North Sea, so
Yeah, and
that
then convoy Norway back to Yorkshire, and then pop London and be like, "Ooh, look, I only have 2 fleets now, and I'm gonna lose English Channel and North Sea this next turn."
yeah,
We,
my thinking here would be make it as annoying as possible for anyone to gain one center from me ever, right? Which is it's a good principle for defense in general. You just bunker up and you say, hey, if you're going to dedicate that many units to attacking me, you're not going to get anything out of it for X number of turns, right? Whereas I think the approach that you're taking is, having negotiations still available and saying, hey, I can be your friend and help you out somewhere else, right?
yeah, it's not that it's like I can help you, don't attack me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whereas my approach is, I'm not going to help you, but I'm just going to sit here and defend myself, and so
Yeah,
it's
see,
not
I
in your
can't do
interest to
anything
attack it.
ever,
Yeah.
right? Because again, if France sees that I can help France against Germany, France might be willing to accept that and then not attack. And then same thing with Germany and France. Whereas if I have an army, I can't attack anyone ever. I just sit there and nobody's scared of me. It's just like, okay, how safe does France feel right now? Because eventually France is going to crack me even with an army there. So,
Hmm.
Anyways, we've talked a lot about England. England sucks. Let's go talk about the interesting part of the map. And that's Turkey getting annihilated. Very sad times for Turkey here.
I do
A
want to
phenomenal turn for
clarify
Russia.
very quickly, when you say England sucks, I think you mean the English position sucks, because the actual play hasn't been that bad, right?
Oh yeah, the
It's
play's
just-
been excellent. No, England's been playing this position great. Just like, why would you ever beat England when you could beat France instead?
Yeah, fair enough. Alright, let's look at Turkey. What's going on
Yeah.
over here?
Well, so Turkey got cooked by Austria and Russia, which is scary for Turkey because hey, look, fleets of Astapol attacked them. Shocker. But look at how bad this fleet in Armenia is instead of an army. If that's an army in Armenia right now, Turkey's position is so hard to defend because you've got this annoying guess where a GNC can cover Smyrna, but like Khan has to support hold Ankara, and so you just, oh god, your position is just so sad.
I mean, they have Ankara guaranteed anyway here, right? As long as Serbia taps Constantinople.
Yeah, but there's no guarantee that Austria will still do that.
Yeah, primarily because of the other thing that happened this turn.
Yeah, which was Italy attacked Austria very effectively.
Yes.
The classic stab.
Yeah. So this is what's so nice about convoying to Tunis, right? You don't necessarily need to go into the Eastern Med. Just the fact that you still have the fleet in Ionian gives you so many options. And one of them is going to Albania with the army.
One of the things that I want to highlight here, though, is this Austria's moveset. You have this huge Congo line of Trieste to Vienna, Vienna to Budapest, Budapest to Serbia, Serbia to Bulgaria. Don't do that. Trieste to Serbia.
Yes.
And then Vienna and Budapest can do anything else. Like self-bounce in Trieste, for example. In this case. This Congo line is so inefficient. You never, ever, ever want to have a bunch of units moving like this when the back of the Congo line can just move to the front. So, like, it's rare that you have movesets in diplomacy that are strictly better, and this is one of those cases. And it's actually, no, it's not strictly better, but it's basically, it's so much better. It's still, you still need to do it. Just Greece, support Serbia, Bulgaria, Trieste to Serbia, and then Vienna and Budapest, self-bounce and Trieste. Like, that's better. That's just way better.
Yeah, 100% agree. The main time where you see order sets like this is when someone wants to waste their units move without holding, right? But here, Trieste to Serbia is just better. And the tree self-bounce would have protected them pretty decently against this Italian attack.
And the cool thing about the flexibility of having Vienna and Budapest open still is you could, for example, move into Galicia.
Yes.
And if you moved into Galicia here, then, ooh, that's pretty powerful. Obviously, I don't think you want to make that attack if Italy is stabbing you like this. So I think having units defensive is reasonable still. But, like, having that option available is big. But yeah, so I think Italy is saved by the fact that Austria did such a Congo of a moveset. Because you're not normally supposed to walk into Trieste like this. Ever. So.
Yeah, I think this stab can still work, even... Well, no, I think there were always possibilities that they could walk into Trieste, right? Especially considering this DiploStrats Gauntlet tournament that we did. It was basically open to anyone on our server. There were a whole lot of people in that tournament who had come in through, like, the Veilfist video and had started playing Diplomacy quite recently, right? So they might not be as... Like, if you look at this as an expert player, you are immediately thinking, okay, well, something is going to cover Trieste, right? Something is going to self-bounce there or whatever. But just the idea of a self-bounce isn't something that's immediately evident to people. When you look at Diplomacy's tactics. It's something that you learn by reading articles or watching videos or playing a lot of the game. So this was more likely to work than in the average game, and I mean, it did work, so good for them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, Italy was saved by this being the move set that Austria did, and as a result, Italy's position is not great still. Because Austria made relatively defensive moves instead of attacking Russia here, Austria might still be allied with Russia. Probably is, because Russia has no armies in the south, so I don't think you can expect any eastern pressure on Austria, and all of Austria's units are still at home. So I don't think you can hold Trieste the way that it stands, but you can snipe Greece instead as compensation. So, I'll probably snipe Greece. Yeah, you can snipe. You could probably snipe Greece. Maybe not actually, because Bulgaria can probably support hold Greece here.
Yeah, it depends what Turkey decides to do, right? But Turkey probably defends themselves, because if they lose... Because, like, their priority has to be keeping their homes right now, right?
Probably.
Well, actually, I would say that if the Russian unit in Armenia was an army, but because it's a fleet, it's actually less clear. Even if Russia takes Ankara here, you're not in the worst situation ever as Turkey. You can... Smyrna is still completely safe, right? So...
Yeah, but I mean, there's going to be an army build in Sevastopol then.
Yeah, that's the downside. You still wouldn't want to lose this. I think it's just a little bit more reasonable for Turkey to, like, tap Bull than it would be if Sevastopol was... Well, the Sevastopol
Aegean is still free. And Aegean can support Italy in or cut Bulgaria either way.
Yes.
Because of that army in Armenia. You don't have to worry about Smyrna. So... No, it's still rough, and I think Austria is going to be in a fight, but it's a fight that Austria can take because there's no pressure on them from the east, which is a good strategic position to be in. It's just, if Austria had made slightly better tactical moves here, Italy would be absolutely crushed. There'd be no hope for Italy here. Instead, it's going to be a fair fight that we'll see. I think it's going to end up with Italy having Trieste and or Greece, and that's kind of it. And them stalemate for a while.
Yeah. Right, well, shall we see how this turns out then?
Yeah, let's go to the fall.
Fall 1902. Alright, well, Russia stabs Austria.
Alright.
What?
That's a stab. Yeah, I like it. That's fun.
That feels like an interesting move to make, because that fleet... Like, their two fleets still can't do anything except move against Turkey, right?
Oh my god, and Turkey covered? Oh, I didn't see this move set. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh
well,
no.
So this is kind of interesting, right? Turkey gets into a really good position as a result of this. They can push the Russian fleet out of Armenia very easily. They still have this. They have two fleets on the Black Sea now, so they oppose the Russian two, right? This is like actually brilliant on the Turkish part. I don't know what would possess you to do this as Russia. You don't gain anything, right?
Well, I have absolutely no idea why. Just support yourself, like, yeah, wow.
I mean, you gain a build, and you're gaining a build in the north, so maybe you just are saying, okay, with the two builds that I'm gonna get, I can steamroll Austria with Italian assistance. But I don't know
Can I complain about the fleet in Armenia again?
Yes.
Because if that was an army in Armenia, and I was convoying it into Bulgaria, I feel completely differently. I think this is a great move. It's a fantastic strategic position. You're going to crush. Everyone's great. With this fleet, you're just giving up on killing, like, you don't do anything anymore. Oh, unless you build a third fleet, and then you put that fleet in the Black Sea now.
Oh my god. Please.
There we go. That's the line.
No.
Yeah.
You can't build 3 fleets on the Black Sea when you've just stabbed Austria. That is insane.
Why not? You can build an army in Warsaw.
Yeah, but then you have 2 armies against the entirety of Austria.
Nah, Italy's attacking. They can't hit you with anything. You'll tell Austria, hey, I just dotted for Bulgaria. I just want all of the stuff on the coast. Not going to take anything else. Besides, Austria's down to 3 units, right? What's Austria going to do? No, I was just on
Austria's on 4, right?
Yeah, whatever. Anyways, it's fine.
And they're going to keep their armies because taking the fleet off doesn't... Like, taking the fleet off is generally what you want to do if you get attacked as Austria, because the fleet is really only great offensively. If you do get ganged up on as Austria, you kind of want to turtle up into your core, generally. which
Yeah, that's kind of everyone. The fleet just
yeah,
sucks. As Austria, you want a bunch of armies.
yes. And
It's simple as that.
even when you're in a bit of a difficult position as Austria, which is like this, you can still deathball, right? You can still just get those 4 armies and go screw you to someone and throw those armies at someone. And I have a feeling that it might be Russia in this situation, given that Russia just knocked them out of Bulgaria for no reason.
Yeah, it feels pretty bad. Also, Russia's going to be on 8, right?
Yes.
So Russia's going to be the board leader. And you can maybe make a pitch to some people to say, hey, Italy, please don't kill me anymore. I'm happy to let you have Greece. I know you're an Adriatic, but, like, take Trieste, fine. But take it with the fleet. We'll be okay. And then I'll just let you into it. And then you go into Bohemia, and then I'll take Galicia and we'll attack Russia, because he's going to win the game otherwise.
Yeah,
Slash pitch.
I think that's a pretty decent pitch, to be honest. And like, there's no one else who's a counter threat to the Russia, right? You could say that France would be because they got that triple build in 01, but they did just lose Belgium, so they've gone down to 5, right? So you have a Russia leading on 8, and the next highest player is what, Germany on 6? Yeah, that's gonna be. It's gonna be tough to get people to work with you as Russia here, especially just because you're not really positioned to help anyone. uh,
Yeah, but Germany's not really going to attack you, it looks like. Maybe they will.
what is Russia
Yeah,
positioned to
fun
do in the
direction.
north as well, right?
Nothing.
Exactly. So I tend to like armies more than fleets because they're more flexible, right? But if you're going for something like that, you really want to support Finland into Norway here and not St. Petersburg. Because Finland is not a flexible unit here. It's kind of heavily committed to the north and takes forever to get anywhere. St. Petersburg is only 2 moves away from Sevastopol, so that's the
Yeah, I
better
mean,
unit to
Finland
keep.
is just one space away from every other center on the map, except for Sweden, where Finland is a little bit closer. But you already have Sweden. So the unit in Finland is worse than the unit in St. Petersburg in almost every situation.
Yes.
Technically, yeah, it could be convoyed just as easily anyways. Yeah, no. So you want to be in St. Petersburg, not Finland, so support yourself there. Also, if you want to do this attack on Norway, why don't you build a fleet in St. Petersburg?
Yes, that's another question here. I see. As Germany, I'm looking at the situation. I'm thinking, is Russia just going to drop down into Baltic here and go with Finland to Sweden? Because that feels like the only reason why you'd keep Sweden there instead of St. Petersburg, right?
Yeah, but this Russia also built a fleet in Sevastopol, so this Russia is not playing optimally.
Well, yeah, they're playing hyper aggressively, right?
Yeah, but not being as efficient as possible with their units. So I'm not worried about that army in Finland versus the army in St. Pete.
That's fair enough, I guess.
But against in a different game, I would absolutely be worried about that. Right? That's the type of analysis you want to do. Why would somebody do this? Assume they're not making a mistake. Assume there's a valid reason for it. That valid reason is that Finland can attack by going into Sweden a little bit more efficiently.
Yes. And I do wonder if we're going to see that, because that feels like the only line that Russia can really take in the north now, right?
Only if they Congo it. Sweden into Baltic, Norway into Sweden, Finland into Norway.
Well, they could just go Finland as Sweden.
Yeah, but the Congo is more fun.
Oh, I see. Right, so we haven't really looked at what happened in the West here. Obviously, England lost their army here, which was guaranteed. They decided not to convoy back. They took Belgium from North Sea, which obviously lets Germany into the North Sea here. I don't know if that was worth it as an exchange.
So here they should have convoyed. Probably.
Well,
Actually, maybe not. That's funny because they wanted to spend. Oh, neat. So the advantage of convoying, right? The reason why I was saying they should convoy is because they could have convoyed and then still support held the North Sea. So they wouldn't have lost the North Sea. But funnily enough, I think rebuilding in Liverpool is actually better. And here you need an army. Here you need an army in Liverpool, because you need to cover both Eddie and Liverpool at the same time.
Yes.
So here you need an army, fine. The tactics in this situation dictate that it is necessary. This is acceptable. We also have 4 units, not 3, so it does feel different.
Yes. And they now have to... Well, they have a fleet in Belgium, which is going to be an interesting thing to figure out. I think that fleet is probably just lost.
Yeah.
France obviously goes down one and actually can't build another fleet.
France to disband fleet Irish Sea?
Ooh, no. Surely not, right? Like, France can't afford to take the second fleet off. If they take the second fleet off, they've got 1 fleet and 4 armies. That's not a good thing for them at all. There's no way.
Sure. It's also rulebook press, so no talking during builds, but...
Yeah, and I kind of like the setup from France here on trying to get the convoy into Liverpool, but at the same time, the fact that England is in English Channel is going to be a bit of a problem, right?
Well, they're in Picardy still, so they can help cover it.
That is true. They got forced out of Belgium. They can just self-bounce Brest or whatever. Oh, well, if they're convoying, they don't self-bounce Brest, but they can cover things quite easily, yes. This is true. Usually the better attack line would just be to force your way into English Channel here and push slowly forward. But getting the convoy off is always excellent, and if England hadn't managed to pick up an SC here, this would have been doubly excellent, because England wouldn't have had anything that they could defend with, right? You could just get the free convoy into Liverpool. Now that England gets a build, it's a bit more difficult. Yeah. But yeah, they just need to keep Germany on side, primarily. These these moves in the middle, I feel like these are done just to annoy commentators, right? All the conga lines. These are clearly just replacements for holds, because... and here is actually detrimental to these players, because they could have just bounced Burgundy and Munich Imre, and then they could have support held Belgium. But maybe Germany didn't want Belgium support held, who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well...
Alright, power rankings, yeah?
Well, let's go ahead to
Power
winter. Yeah, and then we'll do power rankings. So, double army build from the Russian. Army Marseille comes off. I think that's a very fair choice.
Oh, yeah, definitely right. Yep. Army Albania disbanded.
That's a super interesting one. I would always have taken off Fleet Aegean here.
This Austria has balls of steel. No fear.
Yep.
This Italy ain't got nothing on me.
Problem is now... now you lose Trieste guaranteed at this point, right? Because Tyrolia taps Vienna, Greece taps Serbia, and then Adriatic supports Venice into Trieste. So this is a really horrible position for Austria now, from something that it wasn't all that defendable anyway. It was kind of a difficult thing, but you really want the 4 armies defending the 4 centers.
You know what's funny enough? Army Albania also still lost Trieste, guaranteed.
Did it?
Ionian taps Albania.
Oh, Ionian can tap. Interesting. Yeah, that is true. The difference is that... I was gonna say the difference was that Albania threatens Greece, but I guess Aegean does too, actually. So
yeah, Serbia supported Aegean to Greece.
It could work out.
It's the moves that you gotta do, right? It's the only counter, assuming Italy goes for the guaranteed take of Trieste.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that's sick.
Yeah, that would be super interesting.
That's awesome. And then Trieste covers Albania. You force Greece this turn.
This is like one of the things where we're so used to commentating a certain kind of game that we're locked into the mindset of a certain kind of strategy, right? Which would be, okay, I'm on the defensive now, I don't need the fleet anymore. But this is a more interesting line, to be sure. And it does... It could still work. Obviously, even if you get into Greece here, the fleet isn't useful for defense. which is primarily why you'd want Albania to stay on, right, instead of the fleet. But
Yeah, Greece can't support Old Serbia.
It does also provide you more diplomatic options, right? You can say to Italy, hey, if you go into Eastern Mediterranean here, we can actually still take apart Turkey quite effectively, because I've still got the fleet here to use against them. And if you manage to take Greece back, you can still make that pitch further on, right? Or you could say to Turkey, hey, I can support you out into Ionian if you come help me.
Yeah, but all of these diplomatic pitches are irrelevant because Turkey and Russia are locked into a death struggle at the moment in the south, and Italy is pretty committed to fighting me at this point.
Yeah.
There's just these units are not at all in a flexible position to maneuver out, even a little bit. So, well, hey,
Yep.
I don't want to support Hold Serbia anyways. It's fine.
What are your thoughts on the Russian builds, the double army?
Yeah, I mean, I would have liked them to not be in Moscow. Either St. Pete or Sevastopol would be better. If it was in St. Pete, it should have been a fleet. But I think Fleet St. Pete, Army Sev. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, this was actually potentially another reason for supporting St. Petersburg through to Norway instead of supporting Finland, was that it opened you up for a fleet build in St. Petersburg North Coast. But that's not been taken advantage of here, right? I profess that I say a lot that Moscow Army is a super good build. This is a situation where I wouldn't build Army Moscow, just because of how heavily I'm committed on the Southern Front. I feel like it needs to be... It doesn't need to be Army Sevastopol, but if it's not Army Sevastopol, then it should be Fleet St. Pete, because if it's Army Moscow, it's 100% going down south anyway. Right? So, yeah. But still, the build is fine.
I could see Army Moscow and Army Sev, but you cut Army Warsaw. I could see that. As a way to sort of make peace with Austria, to say, hey, I'm not going to attack you right now. I'm going to let you deal with Italy. Stay safe. Fine. I'm going to cover Ukraine and Romania, so you're not going to get anything from me. No suiciding into me, but I'm not going to attack you. But that's fine. It still means the Army Sev. As is, I don't know. I think, is Russia going to try to peace out with Turkey?
Maybe? How do you do that with two fleets?
I'm just asking. You think he's going to try?
Maybe.
I think he's going to try.
They might. Well, we'll see if they can manage that with two fleets around the Black Sea. This is what we've mentioned about this being so committal, right? This is just, you're locked in against Turkey. If you peace out, these two units are useless. So, yeah, we'll see if that works. Power rankings. Who would you put in first place here?
Russia.
Are you sure?
Yes, I have 8 centers. The next highest has 5.
Okay, that is fair. But I feel like we have been discussing the downsides of Russia's position quite a lot.
Yeah, my builds are inefficient. Fine. My position is absurd. Austria and Italy are fighting to the death. They're completely locked in. Turkey is down to 3 centers. I have Bulgaria, and they might be able to attack me, but also maybe not. It's totally fine. Germany is super committed to the west, not against me. England is fighting France. Who can attack me exactly? My strategic position is impeccable, and I'm on 8. Russia's number 1, and it's not even close.
Alright, fair enough. I mean, I can see it. I just really... If I had to choose a power to play in this position, I would not pick Russia.
Who would you pick? Germany?
I would pick Germany, I think. Being in North Sea is really good.
Yeah, it's nice, I agree. I'm not sad to be Germany. I think Germany's second for sure. But, like...
Yeah.
I don't know. I have 8 centers, and you only have 5. Have fun.
But, like, 2 of those centers are supporting units that lock you into an eternal death war and can't take anything, right?
Okay. But, like, keeping Turkey out of the game is great for me.
I don't think you'll be able to keep Turkey out of the game for very long here. I think Turkey has a far superior position right here. Because they can support themselves into Armenia, they can support themselves into Black, right? Yeah, you can just tap Ankara and Kon repeatedly until they force you out of Armenia, But once you get pushed back into Black Sea, you have a bit of an issue. As long as this Austrian fleet isn't hitting
that
Turkey.
big of an issue. Yeah, Austrian fleet isn't going to hit me because Austria's at war with Italy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Assume that the Austrian and Italian units are going to be locked in against each other forever for the rest of the game. And unless outside assistance comes in, that's what's going to happen. Neither side's really going to make progress.
Mm-hmm.
So I support myself from Armenia into the Black Sea.
Fair enough.
What do you do?
I force Armenia in this position and probably tap Black Sea with Constantinople, right?
Sure. So I end up in Black Sea, and I have an army in Moscow that's going to be sitting in Sevastopol.
Mm-hmm.
Black Sea and Bulgaria hold each other.
And then we just end up stalemated because Smyrna just...
And we just have a stalemate.
Armenia taps Sevastopol, and I try and force my way into Black or support hold myself in Turkey. Okay, yeah. I wouldn't pick Turkey to play in this scenario. Yeah. I still don't like the Russian position.
Okay, sure. But now it's like I have 5 units, and Russia... I'm 5 units as Russia, and you're 5 units as Germany, right? And I don't have to ever deal with the Turkish stab, period.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough, I guess.
Russia's position is great. Plus, there is always the chance that you just are like, hey, Italy. Well, actually talk to Italy and get some coordination on Austria. That could work. Or say Turkey, hey, you know what? I don't actually like these fleets anymore. Just disband them. You can take Armenia. That's fine.
This is true. I actually think the Russian position becomes better if they let Armenia get disbanded here and use that diplomatically.
Yeah. That's a way to peace out. Just they should never have built it in the first place, and it's a way to acknowledge I've made a mistake with this unit. Get it off the board, please. Thank you.
Okay, I see it. I'll leave Russia in first place then. Germany definitely second, right?
Yeah. France third.
Would you put France above Italy here? I feel like Italy's in a pretty decent spot.
Italy's not gonna... What center is Italy gonna gain?
Trieste.
Are they gonna lose Greece?
I don't... Well, if they lose Greece, they retreat to Albania, right? And then they have...
Trieste covers Albania.
Oh, you mean that Austria just gives up Trieste in this case?
Yeah, because Austria can't hold Trieste.
Yeah, but if Trieste ends up in Albania and then you end up with Serbia and Aegean in Greece, then there's nothing in the Austrian homeland.
No. So Aegean's in Greece. So you have Vienna, Albania, Serbia, and Greece.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then there's a hole. You've got a hole in Budapest.
Fine.
Then the Italian tries to push their fleet, well, not their fleet, their army up into Vienna and then move the fleet behind into Trieste.
Yeah, but I support myself into Trieste. I have 3 units next to Trieste.
Then they retreat into Budapest.
Okay, I can support myself from Vienna then, and then you get countered. But I pop your army in Greece. That's really big.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Also, Italy has a 50-50 to just take both, right? They can take Trieste and support hold Greece if Austria.
Yeah, but they're never doing that. They're never doing that.
Yeah, but that opinion is exactly why they might.
Yeah, but I'm look, man. I'm telling you, in a 5-minute game or whatever, that's not happening.
Oh, well, it's a 15-minute game. I think it might. I think we'll see. All right.
Look, this again. I'm just saying, if I'm playing you, CaptainMeme, I'm getting it right every time.
I'd be interested to play against you and see whether that's true. I'll put France above Italy here, but that's on protest. I think I would put Italy above France in this position.
Oh, come on! You think Italy's got a better chance against Austria than France has against England here?
I think Germany is strong enough to take England's centres before France can get them, right?
What, like Belgium?
Okay, England has English Channel, right? And France has to cover Brest, so they can't just go out for...
What do you mean I have to... What? There's no way! I absolutely don't have to cover Brest.
Do you just leave Brest open and convoy?
Yeah. Absolutely. If you take Brest, I take it back. Like, lol, thanks, buddy. There's no way English Channel is attacking Brest here.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Absolutely no way. Yeah, so I don't have to cover it.
I don't know. I don't think France is making any gains against England anytime soon.
Belgium.
That doesn't count. That was already French.
What do you
They
mean
just
that doesn't?
lost it.
Yeah, but then I'm at 6, and that's Italy going to 6. France is clearly better than Italy here. Also, here's the thing, Captain Meme. It's France.
Yeah, okay. Standard France bonus. I don't know if France bonus overtakes Italy here. That's just... I don't think it necessarily
Alright, fine.
does.
Put Italy above France. We'll see who wins the game higher.
Okay,
All right?
I am going to put Italy above France then. I've been given
Fine.
permission here. For the record, we said that these would be shorter than the average ones. We're an hour in and in 1902. This is amazing. Alright, so, we got 3 more people to rank. Austria, England, Turkey. What's your quickfire ranking on those 3 powers?
Austria, England, Turkey. Nah, Turkey above. Nah, Turkey, Austria, England.
Turkey, Austria, England. Alright. I assume for the reasons that we mentioned about Turkey being basically impenetrable here.
Okay, basically impenetrable is a stretch, but that I think Turkey is unlikely to die at the moment.
Fair enough.
Basically impenetrable is a long... Jeez, that's a bit of an overstatement, considering if Austria decides to attack Italy, it decides to attack Turkey for a turn, then Turkey gets cooked. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Yes, I also agree with that. Alright, well, let's go to spring 1903. Oh, meteor off! Oh my god, it happened!
Okay.
Incredible.
That's true. That's big. That's good.
Interestingly, Austria also offered support to Turkey to be taking Bulgaria here, which would have been an interesting thing to do.
Yeah, and then didn't support Aegean into Greece and lost Trieste. Well, unfortunate Austria position, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. So this is kind of interesting, the Tyrolia supporting Venice into Trieste thing. Usually you would want to tap Vienna instead, because this is... Actually, why am I saying that? I need to... like, my brain has gone slightly. Yeah, Ezio, you explain the
Tyrolia, right? That's the concern.
Yes. Yes, yeah, indeed. Okay, so basically, if you have the possibility to tap a potential support of your target, and you think that support is likely, or that support is absolutely necessary to keep it, you should always make that tap instead of the support, unless you absolutely need to be staying in the province that you're currently in. Because there might be some situation where you want to give the support instead, if, like, if, for example, you're standing on a supply center that you can't afford to lose, you might not want to be tapping a random unit and accidentally walk out of it and have the enemy get in. But other than that, a tap is always better, because the tap can't be stopped, right? Whereas a support can be. So here,
yeah, always is a little strong. But tapping has the upside that it can't be cut, so it makes an attack truly guaranteed, and it also has the upside of sometimes they do something crazy and you just walk into a center. Like here, if Vienna didn't bounce in Galicia, you might have just ended up in Vienna, which is pretty great when it happens.
Yes.
So that's a big thing to be aware of. That tapping has lots of upsides. The nice thing about supporting is that sometimes you can force a unit, like it can either cut my support here or it can do something else, but it can't do both. And so you can still offer in the support and have it work. This was a situation where I think you should have tapped Vienna. Because you can see that when you're cutting Serbia like this, if you cut Vienna, then you are actually guaranteed 100% to take Trieste and every world. Whereas by supporting yourself in, if Munich moved to Tyrolia and Vienna support held Trieste, you weren't. So here you should have gone for the cut, but
yeah.
It worked out. It's fine.
Yeah, my always was
functionally
definitely
equivalent here, right?
Yeah, my always was definitely a bit strong. Also, if there's no unit like Munich that can actually tap your support, then supporting is completely fine as well, right?
Yeah, they're equivalent, so...
Yes. But usually the tap is better. That's my experience.
Yeah, it's really rare for the support to be better than the tap.
Mm-hmm.
It's occasional, it does happen, but tapping to cut support is generally a good, like, to have it boil down to a, hey, I am supporting this unit into here, and that center can't be supported anywhere is a nice place to be, because then it's guaranteed to work, especially if that one support can't be cut. If you're in a position where, like, Adriatic might have been cut, then you want to double support in, because then you give yourself flexibility and stuff can happen, but whatever. Anyways, this was great. Good job, Italy. Italy's very happy, gaining Trieste, not losing Greece, and Russia is attacking Austria, so yikes.
Yeah, this is another thing that maybe we should have mentioned or thought about a bit more in the power rankings, right? Was the fact that Russia had just attacked Austria. We kind of assumed they were immediately piecing Austria out with our analysis, and then...
Because they had these two stupid fleets.
Yeah, because the fleets are so ineffective against Austria, it's just really difficult to see how they gain anything. And in fact, you see that the continued Russian attack here only gives Italy stuff. It doesn't give Russia anything, right?
So why would Russia ever do this?
Budapest. Yeah. Maybe they thought that Austria would just be defending against Italy and they could slip into Budapest. But
that's a fair point. So why would Austria ever defend against Russia? Because Russia should never attack them.
Yeah. But I think if that happens, right, and you slip into Budapest successfully, Austria then makes it their goal to just destroy you for the rest of the game. Because they can't survive anyway. They're like...
It's worth noting that Austria couldn't do very much to you in that case.
Mm-hmm. Well, it depends whether they just go, hey, Italy, I'll let you take Budapest. I'm just going to push you through, right?
Yeah, but, like, if you're in... Like, presumably if you're not defending against Budapest, you're trying to defend stuff and you're doing things, and, like, they're in Galicia because you're not defending against them, and so it's actually difficult for you to really mess with them. But, whatever. Point is, it's moot. We don't care. Austria is cooked because Russia is attacking them, so that's rough. Italy's doing well. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
In the north, we did get a Congo line. That's great.
Which Congo line? Oh, the...
Norway to Sweden, Sweden to Skagerrak.
Yes. It's interesting that they chose to go into Skagerrak. I would have wanted to go into Baltic just because Baltic is less cuttable, right? You don't have any... There isn't really another unit that can come and stop you from supporting.
Yeah, but they're not attacking Germany.
What are they doing with this if they're not attacking Germany?
Trying to get into the North Sea.
With one unit?
Yeah.
They're
friends with Germany.
But then why didn't they just go to Norway with the fleet instead? And do like a cycle round of these armies or whatever, or move one of the next
I don't know, because Skagerrak's a boat spot? I don't know. I don't think, like, look, man, do you think you're going to take Denmark here?
No.
So they're not trying to take Denmark.
Yeah,
right?
I guess I could see it as, like, them saying exactly what you're saying here to Germany and saying, hey, it's completely fine because I'm definitely not going for Denmark because I couldn't take Denmark anyway, right? And then they go for it anyway.
If I was going for Denmark, I go to the Baltic Sea.
Yes.
And I also move into Silesia, and then suddenly Germany is just in really bad shape.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm actually able... if I was Russia here, you're able to have such a potent attack against Germany. Also, which is why, like, why would you want to play Germany here? But whatever. You didn't have, like, no, it's great. I don't think if Russia takes Denmark here, hats off to Russia. They have outplayed me. Well done.
But why else do they go to Skagerrak instead of going to Norway?
Because they're trying to get into the North Sea.
Well, they can go to Norway and not annoy Germany.
Norway had a unit in it, man.
You couldn't move that unit out of the way.
But it's so hard to see how that sort of stuff works, and then you make these annoying, ugly-ass Congo lines.
Are you saying Congo lines, by the way? These are Conga lines.
It's an A?
What you call them. Yes.
Well,
Here, I've revolutionized your way of thinking about certain dance moves, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, so the... I don't know. This unit in Skagerrak... This unit in Skagerrak is just... It feels needlessly aggressive towards Germany, because going to Norway does exactly the same thing, maybe a little bit more even, in letting you go to Norwegian as well. It's just as easy to do, and it doesn't set up around Denmark. So, as Germany here, I'm like going,
You're miffed, but you're not going to do anything about it.
I mean,
like, yeah, you might support whole Denmark. fine, but what was Kiel gonna do anyways?
Yeah, that is fair. I don't know what I'm doing as Germany here. Why are we in Norwegian Sea now? I guess I really would have wanted to have Denmark support hold North and North Sea try and convoy something into the British Isles here. You've got
Yep.
like a 50-50 on Yorkshire and Edinburgh. It's not really a 50-50 because they could cover with the
But
with
look at it this
London as
way.
well.
Now you have 3 units that can attack the North Sea here because Skagerrak is going to support Denmark in the North Sea.
You really think it's going to? Well, yeah, it can't effectively attack Denmark, but why is it in Skagerrak? It doesn't make sense.
I think it's gonna help me retake the North Sea
Oh my
because
god.
I'm
Okay,
such good
hang on.
friends with my pal in Russia.
I see it. I think I see it. The
Yep.
line.
Okay.
The reason why.
Convoying Russia into Eddie?
Exactly. It's the only reason why you wouldn't have the fleet in Norway here. You needed the army in Norway in order to convoy them into Clyde.
Sure. That would be sick. I would be so happy.
I actually really like the idea of convoying the Russian units away from Scandinavia as Germany here, just because that means they're not in Scandinavia anymore.
I don't want any competition, any more competition for these British dots than I already have. France is enough.
That's fair. If you're trying to stick with Russia here, then yeah, that makes sense. I'm just worried about how many units are there.
Yeah, Russia's obviously really strong and scary, but like, what? Am I gonna try to fight him?
This is it seems like it wouldn't really go your way, certainly. Unless Germany and England work together right now, right? Because England is in North Sea, they could do a pincer move on Norway. Especially if Russia is doing something like trying to support Denmark out to the North Sea. That might be interesting, actually. But
Alright.
yeah.
Cool. Let's go see fall.
Alrighty. So one thing I wanted to mention first. Italy supported Turkey out into the Aegean Sea. I wouldn't want to do that as Italy, because I think you kind of want those Turkish fleets on the Black Sea. Getting the Austrian unit out of there is fine, it's good. It means you have less threat on Greece. But I think it also lessens the chance of Turkey and Russia fighting each other, and you really want that to happen. Anyway, let's move to fall 1903 here.
Don't think we're getting a double recording in today, CaptainMeme.
I agree. We'll just do the one. Well, we may as well make this a full one then, right? We already kind of have.
We don't have to change anything.
Yes, indeed. Alright, so, what stands out to you on this board?
Skagerrak did not, in fact, try to take Denmark.
Its support held Norway. It saw the possibility of England and Germany working together here and decided to counter that, which I think is a pretty reasonable thing to do. I mean, it wouldn't have been able to help against Norway, against North Sea anyway, right? Because London wasn't being cut, so it wouldn't have made a difference. And this does protect against the line where Denmark cuts Sweden and Germany supports England into Norway.
Yep.
Yeah.
What a nice unit. Man, I'm so glad that unit was in Skagerrak. That's great.
I think that you don't even think about the fact that you're going to be attacked by Germany and England if you didn't move it into Skagerrak, because you wouldn't have annoyed Germany in the first place. This is,
I mean, you're not getting attacked by Germany anyways, even though you annoyed them.
I think Germany
Because what's
actually
Germany
had...
gonna do to you?
Okay, say Germany moves Denmark to Baltic here and Kiel up to Denmark, right? And works with England against Norway? There is some possibility for the Russian units there to just splinter into pieces, right?
Yes, if these two people who have been attacking each other the entire game, and England has been fighting to the death trying to get the North Sea, and if Germany, who's moved up into the Norwegian Sea willingly to get better position on Clyde, if they decide to make peace right now, they could potentially take a dot off of me in Scandinavia before I have time to start mobilizing my armies to the west against Germany. That is true.
I think you aren't even really able to mobilize that much against Germany here, right? I
I mean, I can
guess.
move into Silesia in a second, force a bounce. I'm still building because I disbanded my fleet earlier. Like,
I guess France is also getting strong enough to the point where Germany being sandwiched is a very real possibility as well. So if Russia does come up into Silesia and then move the second army into Prussia, that could be a really bad situation for Germany, especially if they
yeah.
commit a lot up into Scandinavia.
Plus, like, what if I build a fleet in St. Pete South Coast if you are attacking me and being annoying? Like,
With what
okay.
build?
I had a disband. I popped a fleet.
Wait.
I'm playing
Oh
down one.
yeah, you do have a build. Oh my god. Okay. That. Yeah, that is a thing you could do. Okay, as Germany, I'm suddenly thinking it doesn't make as much sense to attack you.
I'm glad. See, whenever, like, building is the best way to defend. It's just, it's the thing that some people don't understand, right? Is by attacking, by conquering, you make yourself invincible. Because it's so inefficient to attack somebody when they're building units on at home. So you gotta keep building. Always be building.
Yes, and that means that maybe the fleet build in the south was a genius play after all, because it means they get to build now. uh,
Rude.
but yeah,
All right,
I'm kind of
so
interested in this English, like what's happening in the English Channel as well, because France just didn't bother trying to convoy over or do anything here. They just held their unit in English and moved Brest a bit closer to the German line. I would be a bit worried about that as Germany if I'm watching, but there's also not much I can do about that as Germany, right?
I just don't think it. I mean, what's France gonna do to you?
They could move. Well, you're leaving Ruhr open right now, which actually leaves France with some possibilities if they do move
Yeah,
Picardy into
so I'm gonna
Belgium.
start covering Ruhr now. That's fair.
Yeah. Yep, fair enough. Maybe there's nothing to worry about there. I'm a
Yeah,
little
because
concerned.
France can't hurt
Sorry,
you
excuse
as
me.
Germany like this. Yes, you're right. You need fleet support to break.
Okay, but also France is not attacking England directly right now, right? So there is a possibility that they do work with England on the
Let's
next
see
turn.
the winter, because I suspect there's going to be a fleet Brest, and then we're not going to have to worry anymore.
Yeah, fair enough. Well,
I think that
let's.
France just like was scared about losing English Channel and was like, "Oh no, I'm going to have to support hold myself."
Fair enough, yeah. I think usually you wouldn't care too much about support holding this if it's not actively doing anything, right?
I agree. I wouldn't be concerned, but I think this France is.
Yes. Fair enough. So let's have a look at the south then, because that is where some things are happening this turn. Italy put Turkey into Greece, which I
Yeah.
guess explains why they supported Turkey out into Aegean Sea. They were like, hey, you can have this center. I don't know
Yeah,
that it
Italy
was
is.
necessary.
Well, Italy's trying to build a coalition against Russia to
Yes.
say, "Hey, Turkey, you have to fight Russia. Russia is clearly attacking you. Ignore the fact that Russia and Turkey are clearly making peace right now, and that Turkey was able to disband Russia's fleet in the south. Hey, I'm going to help you into Greece, but I need you to attack Russia now." That's what I'm
Yeah.
confident is going on here, and we'll see if it's successful or not.
I think as Italy in this situation, I would never do this, right?
Oh, of course not.
I
No.
would not want the Turkish fleet out in the first place. Like I mentioned before, I think the Austrian fleet in Aegean is actually better for you than the Turkish fleet in Aegean because the Austrian fleet has to come off after this turn. Whereas, and it kind of pins the Turkish units in a position where they're only useful against Russia, right? In this situation, you're giving Turkey a build to say, hey, I'll give you a build if you work with me. But at the same time, like, that puts them back in the position against Russia that they would have been if you hadn't given them the build anyway. If you just left them trapped in Constantinople. Plus, it gives them an extra line to attack you because they're already advanced into Greece, and it removes an extra unit that you would have got, right?
Yep.
So it just feels like all around a really bad idea to do.
I don't like giving away my thoughts.
Yes. So I give them away under certain circumstances, but this would not be one of them at all. Yeah. I kind of see the logic in it because I do think it would make sense to you to think, okay, if I give them something, they're more likely to work with me, right? And you kind of have to have a strong sense of the tactics in order to see that, hey, Turkey was in a position where they kind of had to work with you anyway, right? If you just lock them into Constantinople, they're not going anywhere except against Russia unless they take a very long time to do it. And then you get to prepare yourself. And you can just then say to Russia, hey, let's jump in against Turkey and murder them. So, yeah, I don't like this, but I do see why someone might have done it. And meanwhile, poor old Austria is now down to 2.
Rip. Poor Austria.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. But they do still have 2 armies, and those 2 armies, Vienna and Budapest, can still have an impact. They are completely surrounded by Italian armies and Russian armies, except for on Galicia and Bohemia now. So they might not live very long, but it'll be interesting to see. They might be able to pull something else. Anything else?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah,
We'll see.
Let's go to winter 1903. So, Fleet Constantinople could go in either direction. But, I mean, it could actually go in both directions. It could support Ankara into Black Sea and then move out to Aegean. And then suddenly Turkey is in a much nicer position than they were before.
Well, probably take Bulgaria first.
Oh, yes, that is true. This is the case. We see Army St. Petersburg. Okay.
That's a misorder.
That has to be a misorder, yeah. Like, unless it's just essentially a wave, they're saying, hey, I'm building this so far away from anything that it counts as a wave, right?
They can get to Prussia just as fast as Army Moscow.
That is true. Maybe that is the goal of it. It's essentially like a St. Petersburg South Coast, but you don't want to tip Germany off that you're doing it. They're clearly wanting to be friendly to Turkey right now, and maybe this build was the only one they can make without Turkey getting angry with them. But then surely you just want a fleet in the north instead of an army. This is yeah, this feels like a painful build, but they are still doing very well. So yeah. I guess also it protects you against the line that I was talking about of Denmark to Baltic, Kiel up to Denmark, and then there are 2 units attacking both Norway and Sweden if Germany and England work together. This way you can defend against that no matter what. So that might actually be the reason. It's just a defensive unit there. Army Marseille. What's your thoughts on that one?
I want to die. I can't take it anymore. Why did these French players keep building armies?
So, you know when you said last turn France will build a fleet and then we can put this whole thing of England and France working together to rest? Yeah, about that.
Yeah.
Do you think England and France might be working together?
Yeah, but since England disbanded Fleet Liverpool, I'm just gonna convoy into Wales anyways.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that's probably the best line. It depends whether England is doing the thing where they go, you know, okay, my units are basically yours at this point, just don't kill me, right?
I'm still gonna say, great, the way that you're gonna show me that your units are basically mine are by letting me take your dots.
Okay. You have an interesting negotiation style there. But yeah.
I'll leave you alive in Norway.
So yeah, this army, what's it gonna do? It's probably gonna It might also just be like, okay, I thought maybe Italy was going to build Army Venice and I wanted to protect, but Italy's not attacking you here as France. They have bigger concerns.
Yep.
Yeah. So, shall we just go ahead to the spring?
I want France to kill England here, please.
Okay. Well, shall we go ahead and see?
Yeah, let's see it.
Okay, spring 1904. Well, they did go into Liverpool. Just not with a
Yeah,
convoy.
but that's not killing England.
Yeah, this is, if anything, this is very indicative of a vassalization agreement, except for the fact that England just went into Wales and so will now probably knock them out.
Yeah, this isn't a vassalization agreement.
Yeah. It does, well, interestingly, your convoy into Wales would have been countered here, right?
No, it wouldn't. I'm supporting it with Irish Sea.
Oh, I see. Yeah, sorry. I'm dumb.
What?
For some reason, I thought, okay, Picardy usually convoys into Liverpool, right? So that's a double fleet convoy. Okay, we're convoying into Wales, so it must be a double fleet convoy as well, right? I didn't even think about the fact that Irish Sea isn't needed. This is my brain shutting off on a Saturday afternoon. But yeah. So England's in a really difficult situation now. Skagerrak did end up supporting Denmark out into North Sea, and England now has to deal with the fact that they have a French fleet in Liverpool and 2 German fleets adjacent to Edinburgh. That's just an unrecoverable position defensively. I say unrecoverable, they might be able to pull something out, but it seems very, very difficult to make anything happen here. I would not be too surprised, though, to see Russia now go for Denmark. Because Germany has kind of left themselves open to it there. And that unit in Skagerrak is positioned to allow that to happen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, would you do that as Russia?
Take Denmark here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. It does seem pretty good, right?
It seems like about the time. But also, I would have taken Galicia from Ukraine, so
yeah.
I also wouldn't have an army in St. Petersburg. I also wouldn't have peaced out with Turkey. I honestly wouldn't expect this Russia to take Denmark here.
Mm-hmm.
I think Russia's feeling the heat from being on top of the board for so long and is trying desperately to not be the scariest person ever.
That makes sense.
So.
Yeah. And we do have to remember that this is, for the DiploStrats Gauntlet games, it was only the player at the top who gets the qualification, right? The player in second has a chance at it, but it's a 2 in 5 chance, so it's not a tremendous chance. And there wasn't a solid metric that we were putting people in second place into the final for. So if you stay very far ahead, you are quite likely to get attacked by everyone. Oh, I didn't mention, these games are time limited to 1910, so they have until 1910 to get to the top of the board, which is still plenty of time here, especially if Russia is holding themselves back a little bit. So, yeah, no, I agree though. I would have gone in from Ukraine, and then you have the potential double attack on Germany, but maybe they just didn't want to project that, that they might do that. And also, this gives them some extra defense on Romania if they suspect Italy is going to attack them. Italy lost Trieste to Austria here. Just because of the way that this happens.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm not too worried about it.
Yes. And Italy doesn't really have anything else to worry about here. They can bounce the Trieste unit in Venice with Tyrolia, and then try and attack. Trieste again, the only downside to that, of course, Bohemia would be able to support Trieste into Vienna, or try and
or tap Vienna,
itself.
actually. Either way. Yeah.
Makes it a little complicated. unless you have Russian assistance, then I think it might be guaranteed if you just get the Russian to support you in from Serbia. No, even you would also have to get the Russian to support hold you in Vienna. So you'd be very reliant on Russian support there, but it might happen.
Yeah.
And certainly, I think Russia will be liking seeing Italy pivot all the fleets towards France.
Yeah, I mean, it's just great news because look, Turkey's got 3 fleets here, and they're not moving towards me, so this is great.
Mm-hmm.
Why did Turkey self-bounce in Con?
That's a good question, right? Because Con is strictly superior to Ankara. Kind of the only situation where it's not is where you want to be building units, and you need to keep it clear for that reason. I assume that there's an agreement not to go into Black Sea for both of them from this. I think as Turkey, I'd be tempted to just go into Black Sea anyway and say, haha, what are you going to do about it? But then I might get a Fleet Sevastopol build in response, so maybe not. But yeah, the self-bounce here is... it keeps Ankara in a bit of a weird spot. I guess it gives you an excuse to stay adjacent to Black Sea, right? That might just be it.
Yeah, but like, what am I doing there? Like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I would just move it into Con. I can still move it to the Black Sea if I want, but I can also get it out if I so choose.
Yeah, that's fair. So yeah, have we discussed everything here then? Is there anything else you want to pick up on?
Let's go to the fall. Let's see it.
Fall
what happens?
1904. Alright, so, well, we are seeing some... Oh, well, where do you want to start here?
Oh, well, I was just going to start with Italy, at observing the, complete push from Turkey in the south.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's sad. I don't think Italy's going to make much progress.
That was what my eye was completely drawn to as well to start with. Although if you're doing this, you really wanted to get Ankara out to Con on the last turn. Although I guess you would have been blocked in by the convoy.
Yeah, it didn't really matter.
Okay, so it's fine. Yeah, I'm sad to see Italy getting attacked by Turkey here. I kind of like this Italian position. I do note the complete lack of support from Russia on anything for these Italian moves here to try and take the Austrian dots back, which is an interesting sign and one I would not be very happy about as Italy.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the juggernaut. It's delayed by a year or two, but oops. It's 1904 and Austria is dead.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh.
It's that very common juggernaut where you start the game with with the Russian fleet build and then stay with 4 units adjacent to the 4 fleets adjacent to the Black Sea for the first 3 years, just to trick everyone into thinking there's no juggernaut, and then kablam!
I mean, if it works, it works.
Indeed. Okay, so presumably Turkey will now cycle Aegean down to Eastern Med and Con to Aegean, or they'll cycle Aegean into Greece, Con to Aegean, and get this Turkish army pushed up into Serbia by the Russian units here. Both of which are really bad for Italy. Like, very, very painful. And also, I don't think Italy even gets a build here, right? No, they don't. Because they lose Trieste and gain Vienna.
Yep.
Ouch. Okay. So, what else do we talk about here? I think the West is... I guess it's interesting in a sense. France moves back to defend Spain, which is completely fair. That's something their armies can do there. But at the same time loses Liverpool, so they don't end up getting the build. And Germany ends up picking up the build, in fact. This is...
Yeah, Denmark was not captured.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You are right about that. Russia has committed to, I think, attacking Italy next, and they're going to attack solely Italy for the time being. Although they're getting a build, they could go in on Germany here. In fact, is there any downside to going in on Germany right now? If they build Army Warsaw? Oh, Germany has a build. That's the downside.
Yeah. I mean, I think Army Warsaw is still the build here. And it's like, as Russia, you're kind of going to have to attack somebody else pretty soon. And that's going to be Turkey or... I'm sorry, pretty soon. I'm assuming we kill Austria next year. Austria, Italy, right? So then we're going to go after somebody, and it's going to be Germany or Turkey. So...
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you think there's a line where you attack Turkey now? I don't think that's... Oh, you mean after Italy is pushed back, or...
I think I can try to find a way to deny Turkey any builds from Austria, Italy, which seems very doable because Italy is able to defend pretty well, and Serbia is the most likely next center to get captured, and Turkey only has one army. So if I don't support Turkey up there, then Turkey doesn't get it. So if I can deny Turkey a build here, then it's going to be pretty great. I also have a pretty good pitch to say, hey, you need a third unit on Ionian, so you got to get your fleet in Constantinople out and get that into Aegean, and at that point, right, Turkey's just dead.
Yes. So. Yeah. They kind of opened up to the typical... It's not even the typical line. Sometimes the line of attacking Turkey that Russia gets when Turkey moves all their armies and fleets out, right? Or moves some of their armies and fleets out, is to move their fleet into Black Sea and then convoy over into Ankara, because that's quite often something that's not defended when Turkey has the fleets out front. Don't think they even need to do that here. They could just like circle the armies round and attack individually with each of them. But yeah, Turkey is going to be quite open to that kind of attack, just because they don't get any builds anytime soon. Or any builds that they do get are probably going to be fleets on agreement. Yeah. So, is there anything else you want to talk about here?
Let's see builds.
Alright, we're going to a power rankings phase here. Let's go to Winter 1904. Alright, Fleet Kiel. Army Moscow. I feel like I kind of have to applaud how many armies the Russian player is building now. I feel like they saw the error of their ways in the fleet at the start. They've just committed to armies for the rest of the game.
Sure. And I mean, what? Were you going to build another fleet, Sev, here?
Well, yes, of course. But, like, yeah. Army Moscow I was thinking of specifically because I do profess to be a fan of Army Moscow and its flexibility. I think it adds... Like, the build Army Moscow here adds to what you were saying about Russia not wanting to look like the big threat right now. Because it's a unit that is saying, I don't want to do anything at this moment.
Yeah, just like Army St. Petersburg, saying, I don't want to do anything.
Yes. So, yeah, I think that's what they're doing here. I think that this is a scenario where I wouldn't have wanted to build Army Moscow. Again, I would have wanted to build something on the front line, but I think it's kind of fair to say, hey, I don't want to be this big threat. I'm going to just sit back for a while and see if that threat status eases up a little. I don't think it will. But yeah, so... other disbands, Bohemia comes off, that makes sense. Wales comes off, so England is keeping their army, which I think also makes sense, right? At this point, England is kind of a non-factor. They're not completely a non-factor, but they're not going to be in competition for the win. And then Fleet Kiel. What would your thoughts on that one be?
I like it. It's great. It's perfect. We're making progress against England. It's going to be a war against France next, and if it's not a war against France, they need to move a fleet into the Baltic.
Yep.
Fleets are great.
Yep, and
I love it.
And Russia can't even take this as a slight in any way because they have more than enough units to defend themselves if you do go against them, right? There is such a mass of armies in Scandinavia region. It's kind of incredible. So, power rankings. I think this time I'm going to agree with you and say Russia is top.
Okay. Yeah, because you disagreed before. You thought that Germany deserved to be on top. That's right. I
Yeah.
remember.
Um,
Okay.
who would
Great.
you put second here?
France.
I guess on account of the fact that Russia is so strong, right?
Yep. The
Um,
furthest away from Russia is the best. So France is the best. Well, second best.
yes.
But maybe even best if people decide to deal with the Russian threat. But doesn't look like that's going to happen. So France number 2.
Yep. Who would Germany be at number 3 then?
I think Turkey is number 3.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think Turkey is Russia's best friend. And I have a feeling that Russia is going to attack Germany before they attack Turkey.
Mm-hmm. And Turkey is the kind of power when if someone leaves you to grow, right? Even if you're a
Yeah.
long way behind them, just because you have that nice corner position, you can be a competitor for the top at the very end.
Yeah, and these games ended in 1908, right?
1910.
1910?
Yep.
Yeah, there's a million years. You can solo here from Turkey.
Well, there you go. Here's your Ezio math of the day. 1910 minus 1904 equals a million.
Yeah, oh, that's so much time. That's ages.
It is. It really
Alright, I wonder
is.
if
You
you
have tons
can
of time.
literally solo. I don't know if you can actually solo in only 5 years from this.
Well, you probably could if everyone just walked out, but that's not gonna happen, right?
Yeah. Alright, a solo is unlikely, but still within the cards. It's still technically possible. So,
Yeah,
yep.
I'm actually not opposed to putting Turkey in third place. I think that's a decent decision. I do think Germany is then fourth, or close fourth. Is that the
Yeah,
silence of
fine.
disagreement? Or?
That's me
Okay.
saying fine because Italy's in worse shape because Italy like actually is going to be at war with Russia right now, and obviously England and Austria are worse. So yeah, Germany fourth.
Yes, and England comes above Austria because England has more of a chance of survival from this position, I think. Just, like, there's not as many units on the English home dots, especially concentrated on the English home dots, and England has that army there. It's going to be tough to take them out completely. So, yeah, there we go. Power rankings. And me and Ezio agree on something for once. Russia first, France second, Turkey third, Germany fourth, Italy fifth, England sixth, and Austria last. But all powers still alive for now. Alright, so let's go into the spring of 1905. Oh my god. Okay. Do you see what I see here?
I see a fun convoy into Tuscany.
That is what I see here, yes.
It's the greatest Eastern Triple of all time.
This is actually an Italy-Russia-Turkey alliance. Is it? It's actually a... what?
Yeah. Yeah, this is what Turkey's gonna do.
Okay.
Alright.
Fine. I mean, actually, I like... Weirdly, I would usually say, okay, convoying Turkey into Tuscany is a bit much Italy. You're kind of putting them next to two of your HSCs. I think I kind of like it in this situation, because you were about to get absolutely hammered by this this Russia-Turkey alliance, right? Getting Turkey on side in some way, that's more valuable than any kind of position.
Literally anything you could do to avoid getting them to attack you is good. So
Yes.
this is great.
Yeah, and okay, I don't like that Serbia ended up in Albania and Trieste got to retreat into Serbia. Now you have to ask the Russian for support back, but maybe they'll give you it. And the fact that you've gotten Turkey to put their fleet in Trieste now means that that's not an army that can attack you inland anymore, so you only really have to worry about the Russian units on that front, which they're still a pretty big worry, but they did throw a support hold on you this turn, so it's certainly looking a bit better than it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright. So yeah, I don't even know what this double convoy to Tuscany really achieves on the... You can get support into Piedmont now, yeah. I mean, okay, if Italy manages to convince Turkey to go to Piedmont with Tuscany, they are the most genius player, I think, of the game. Because then suddenly they've transformed an army which was life-threatening to them into a complete non-factor that's been stuck on the front and is disconnected from all of its friendly units, right? If they end up getting supported from Venice to Piedmont with Tuscany staying there, I think that's less good. But that's probably
no, because then you can convoy it from Tuscany.
Oh, do you mean you convoy Tuscany into Marseille on the next turn?
Yeah, or Spain.
That works. Basically, you just want to get that army out of Tuscany again in some way, right? If it stays there for too long, I think it's going to start looking at Venice and Rome and going, why are those not mine? But yeah, either way kind of works. So, super interesting situation in the south. Russia is moving another unit down with Ukraine, so I wouldn't be too surprised to see Russia make moves against the Italian at this point. Or maybe make a move that's not anti-Italy because they take Serbia, which Austria is in, but they will still gain the SC from Italy doing so. They don't seem to be intending to attack somewhere else. So
yeah, I mean, it doesn't look like anyone's really planning on attacking anyone in this game, which is kind of great now. I think Italy is going to try to attack France, and like Germany is going to annoy France, but again, it's France, so France isn't going to go anywhere.
Yeah. So
yeah, maybe Germany's going to kill England from here, but like it looks kind of tough.
you kind of need Germany and France to be working together to be able to do that, right? And they are clearly not right now. Or maybe this is another arranged self-bounce. But, like, that
I mean,
seems...
with the 3 German units, if you can get your convoy into Yorkshire, you can still break England yourself.
That is true. You then have to leave Denmark undefended, which I'd be a bit scared about. But I've been scared about Denmark this entire time, and nothing has happened. So I may be the boy who cried wolf. Wait, no, in the boy who cried wolf, there was a wolf eventually. So that doesn't make any sense.
Eventually, there was a wolf. Yeah.
But yeah, the maybe it's fine to convoy out of Denmark. If you convoy out of Holland here, you leave yourself a bit open to the French. And when I say a bit, I mean very. So that's probably not a good idea. But yeah. Either way, I think England is likely to survive for quite a while longer. And they are clearly negotiating as well, right? They tried to get Germany to go out into the North Sea. Germany just goes, no, you're going to walk into Edinburgh if I do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Germany didn't support himself into the North Sea either. Just relied on Russia. And hey, my good pal Russia.
Yep. Well, they
Never
didn't need
gonna
any
hurt
support.
me.
We had an unopposed move into the North Sea, which is relatively rare. When there are this many fleets around it. Yeah. So, is that everything for this phase?
Yeah, not that much happened.
Alright.
I think let's go to the fall.
Fall 1905. Oh my god, they did the they did it!
They got into Spain.
That is incredible. Well done, Italy.
Wow.
And Turkey. And I guess Russia. You probably all coordinated on this one. That is beautiful. Oh my god. Okay.
But Turkey stepped. Okay, so here... Wait.
I'm confused.
Wait.
Okay.
What?
So here's my thinking on what probably happened here, right? It looks like Italy has stabbed Turkey. They pushed Turkey's unit out of... Well, no, because Turkey was moving out of Trieste anyway. But Ionian went into Greece, which cut this support of the move into Constantinople. Tyrrheniancy went back into Rome, so they clearly didn't trust Turkey very much, even though they put them into Spain, right? I was thinking that they sabotaged some kind of alliance that they had. No, it doesn't make any sense. What? I was thinking that Turkey had maybe come to them saying, "Hey, I'm gonna stab Russia here," and then Italy had gone, "Okay, well, I'll sabotage that, and then I'll be Russia's friend, right?" And then that's good, and I can take Trieste at the same time, and Russia is helping me into Serbia, and I can get the Turkish unit out of my homeland. This is all awesome, right? But it doesn't really make sense with the moves. Why was Trieste moving out into Adriatic? Are they just giving that up to Italy willingly?
Yeah, Italy was helping me get Spain, so I don't need to get Trieste also. I'm already going +1, so I don't need to be greedy.
But you're not, like... Okay, so this Spain plan is absolutely genius the way it turned out, right? Getting Tuscany into Spain, baiting the unit into Piedmont by making them think you're going to bounce it, right? And then not bouncing it, so this all goes through. But there are so many ways this could have gone wrong. If Mid-Atlantic Ocean covered Spain, this goes wrong. If Spain doesn't move into Marseille, this goes wrong. If Marseille decides...
Literally anything else happened.
Yeah. This is the only situation where this works. I don't know that you can socially engineer this to work, because France is your enemy at this point, very clearly so, right? So you...
What, as Russia? No. France and Russia
as Italy. I guess Russia...
Oh yeah, Russia orchestrated this whole thing. Definitely Russia did all of this.
So, the fact that this works does indicate that some kind of social engineering happened, right? And Russia is probably the only person who could have made that happen, because Italy or Turkey talking to France is going to be super suspicious about that. Yeah, the fact this works is amazing. I think that Italy wasn't necessarily expecting it to work. Given that they moved back into Rome here, they are covering themselves against Tuscany. In case of a stab here, they're also making sure that they can push Tuscany out or disband it if this doesn't go through, even if Turkey is working with them. So they weren't that trusting.
That's just classic, that's just classic, hey, I'm trying to work with you here, but I'm not going to be crazy, so I'll help you out, but even if you stab me, you can't get anything. Very reasonable play.
Yeah, but it's also why I think that this exchange of Trieste for Spain doesn't really work, right? Because as Turkey, would you ever take that deal? You say, hey, I'm going to give up Trieste because I'm clearly getting Spain this turn by moving in with no support against 3 units. I think that would be madness. You have to have such faith in the Russian social engineering, if that's what happened, or in your guesswork. Yeah, well, clearly it works.
Hey man, I think it's a solid play, right? Totally fine. Meanwhile, Russia does nothing.
Yeah, I just don't know what the alliance situation is down here. Was Constantinople to Bulgaria a stab? Were they trying to agree to blow up the Russian fleet? And give Turkey that unit in case the Spain move didn't go through? Did Italy just go, I think that might leave Turkey too strong and stab? I really don't know what happened there. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, so you say Russia did nothing. What happens in the north? France starts working with England.
Oh, stuff happened, but Russia did nothing. It looks like Germany and England and France have all realized that Russia's going to win this game if they don't do something about it yesterday, and are doing something about it now.
Yes. And they're doing something they're going in pretty hard against Russia here. But also, Russia can still defend everything.
Yeah. Can it?
Well,
isn't Sweden lost?
Skag. Oh yeah, because North can tap Skag and then they go in with 2 on Sweden. Yes, you're absolutely right. Sweden is lost here, which is a bit painful for the Russian. Although, actually, a more painful thing would be if Germany just convoys Denmark to Livonia.
Yep.
And moves Heligoland into Denmark behind, because then you lose Sweden on the next turn instead, and then you have massive threat on your HSCs, and they can just tap St. Petersburg to make you lose Norway as well. So, yeah, they are threatening some really, really painful moves against Russia here. Oh my god, the British unit coming through to Yorkshire, is that going to get convoyed out?
No, it's gonna take Edinburgh.
Do you think they stab for that right now?
Yes.
Alright. We'll be interested to see. It would be
Hey,
very
I'll still
cool
help you
if
take
that...
Sweden, but I just want to get my home center back, and then we'll still be fine.
Yeah, that makes sense. It would be quite cool to see it convoyed out.
It would be cool, but I don't want to get convoyed out. And I need North Sea to tap Skagerrak, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that is true. So you can't convoy it out anyway. Alright, well, shall we go ahead to the winter?
Yeah.
Alrighty. Winter 1905. Burgundy comes off. I think there wasn't a nice option for France to take off here.
Yeah, Burgundy's fine, as long as it wasn't one of the fleets.
Yep. Absolutely. Just France's position at the moment is quite painful in general. I might have even been tempted to take Piedmont off and say, okay, well, I need to focus on my homes right now. There's no way I'm pushing in against Italy against this many units. So let's just focus on Spain as hard as we possibly can. But yeah, they can try and do the same with this. They can move Marseille up to Gascony and Piedmont back to Marseille. The problem is that can get bounced and then Piedmont ends up in a bit of a painful location. Yeah, and the only other build, Army Smyrna. Oh no, there's 2 other builds, sorry. Fleet Naples as well, but then Army Smyrna. What's your thoughts on Army Smyrna?
I mean, what's more fleets in the south gonna do? I don't know. Like, Turkey is not really doing anything useful right now. Getting convoyed around isn't actually helping his game plan. So I don't. I've lost the thread on the Southern Alliance because it doesn't make any sense to me, and none of them are gonna do anything. So I don't have any analysis to provide because it doesn't make any none of their units are doing anything, right?
Yeah, basically there's a huge blob of units here that kind of can't do anything. Adriatic,
If
for
they're all
example,
working
is
together,
stuck.
right? If they just stop working together, then everything makes sense again. But
Yes.
they're cooperating too much, Captain Meme, and it breaks my brain.
Oh my god, diplomacy quote of the day. Don't cooperate too much, people. It's very irritating for the commentators.
Yeah, there's only a certain amount you're supposed to cooperate. And you're supposed to cooperate in a way that helps both of you. Not in a way that has you guys sit around and not do anything ever.
I think they won't not do anything ever. I think they're going to decide on something to do right now. Especially, it just looked to me like Italy didn't like this plan, right? The fact that they went back to Rome to defend themselves. Yeah, they were happy to get the Turkish unit as far away from them as possible, which is what they've successfully done. But at the same time, they've taken Trieste, they've established their line. I think they're ready to jump at one of these 2 powers, probably Turkey. And they want to get the go-ahead from Russia to do that. Whether Russia will give that go-ahead, now that they're coming under severe threat in the north, that's another question. But actually, does that make it more likely that Russia will give the go-ahead? Because they know that they need to take centers in the south now, in order to stay even? Yeah, it's tough, because they can't gain anything that fast, especially with the Army Smyrna build. Yeah. Alright, well, I guess we'll see. Shall we move ahead to spring 1906?
Yeah.
Alright, well, we'll hopefully see some moves in the south. We do see some moves in the south, and Italy is pulling the trigger against Russia. Um,
Sure. So the whole board coalition, Russia. Okay.
Everyone, yes. Why? Oh my god, okay, I remember this Turkish unit now. My mind had
Just
blanked
now?
on it. Yeah,
Once the convoy to Tuscany happened.
yeah, you knew where that thing was going. It comes back to Tunis on this turn, which
The
means I
most
actually remember
memorable
what it
unit.
does on the next turn as well.
Yep.
Which is, yeah, okay. I remember this. This was one of the. I didn't realize this was the game. But this was one of the like standout things from the entire tournament that happened. Alright, so I do remember when I looked at this game, I was like so obsessed with that Spain unit that I didn't really look at anything else that was happening in the coalition against Russia. So I am interested to see what exactly happens here. It's interesting that England gets supported into North Sea by the Skagerrak unit. Do you think that was a malicious support?
Uh, no.
No, as in you think they agreed with England to do that?
I think
Um,
it's just good to like. So your question is, do you think that England is part of the coalition against Russia?
yes.
Oh, no, I do not think that.
Okay. Just because, like, as Russia, you can feasibly expect North Sea to tap Skagerrak in this situation, right? Because it was where they could get the Sweden unit. So if everyone actually is against you, including England, you could predict this move and just do it to try and disrupt the enemy. But actually, you're putting more units adjacent to you by doing that, so that's not. It's not necessarily the best thing. Um, yeah. But I assume
I think
you're
as
expecting.
Russia, it's that England isn't on side with the rest of the coalition. I think
Mhm.
they all attacked and took his home centers, and from here, England is going to have a prime opportunity to actually grow against them.
Yes.
Plus, you need there to be some chink in the armor, right? And if actually everyone attacks you, you're going to die, no matter how much, how well you try to play it. So, I like it. I like it a lot.
Yes.
So, say, I'm happy to help you out.
I would have preferred for England to go to English Channel here and get ready to convoy into France or something. But no, England
No
is
need to
going to take
convoy.
Edinburgh back. Yeah.
Just take Brest, yeah,
Um,
and then retake Eddie, and then you're doing great.
yeah. Okay. So other things that are happening there, I would have liked to see Denmark get convoyed over to Livonia instead of this moveset. But this moveset is actually better than my convoy because England has been supported into North Sea and might not be on side here. So this was the one turn they had to get Sweden, and they took it. They got Sweden out of it. So that was good on their part.
Yep.
Yeah, the South. Let's look at the South. What's going on in the South, Ezio?
Well, France convoyed Spain into Tunis, and Turkey and Italy are attacking Russia, and Germany is supporting France into Tyrolia, presumably to help them against Russia.
Yes. So it is a board-wide coalition at this point. Um, I want to know why Naples to Apulia and such like. Right? These are movements of fleets that are
Well,
going.
it just makes them move east. It gets the units further east.
Yes, but what are those fleets ever going to do against Russia? Russia has one center that is on the Med, right? Bulgaria. And you
Yeah.
already have a fleet adjacent to that.
Yeah.
Are you going to try and stuff 5 fleets into the Black Sea? Why
Well,
is it
I
going
mean, you
east?
can subdivide the Black Sea. The Black Sea is a high seas province from Imdip, and so it can actually hold 5 units.
Oh boy. Um,
It would be fun to make a couple of changes to the standard diplomacy map, but just make a couple of units high seas, like the Black Sea and the North Sea. I think would be exciting ones.
oh,
Would make England
if you make
even worse.
North, yeah, if you make North a high seas province, then England just dies every game.
I don't think so actually, because I think Eddie and London just both move into North Sea, right?
Yeah,
And then you
but
can
then...
convoy through the North Sea and support the convoy at the same time.
Yeah, but is that different to just going to Norwegian? And then, at the same time, you then have any fleet that comes adjacent to North Sea can just slip into North Sea and then past you.
No, you don't understand. I will always have 2 units in the North Sea.
Yes,
Oh,
but
sorry. High seas. I didn't mean high seas
fine.
as in 6. No, I meant high seas as in they add 1 extra spot.
Okay, so for context here,
Yeah.
for people who haven't watched Imperial Diplomacy or any of the similar variants, a high seas province is a variant province that is like one province but split into 5 that all have exactly the same adjacencies and are all adjacent to each other. So if North Sea was a high seas province, it would have like 5 sub-provinces in it that are all adjacent to London, Yorkshire, Edinburgh, Norway, Skagerrak, Denmark, Heligoland, Holland, Belgium, and English Channel, and all adjacent to each other. And what its purpose is to break up some of the more stalemate line forming areas of variance, so people can slip past each other. But if people can slip past the North Sea, England is so screwed.
Yep. I needed to clarify. When I meant high seas, obviously a 5-center high sea province in the standard diplomacy map is absurd, because there's just too few centers for those things to make sense. I was thinking it's just like you subdivide the North Sea into 2 smaller provinces, that there's 2 halves to it, so it had exactly 2 spaces.
Okay.
Same for the Black Sea. I think the Black Sea being a 5 is also insane. Right? 2 is reasonable.
Yes.
And like it actually changes the dynamics of the game significantly, but not too much, I'd say. I think it'd be interesting to play.
Yeah, I do agree. If you had a high seas 2 space province in the North Sea, I think England is still playable, and their opening is always going to be 2 fleets into the North Sea.
Yeah, but then France always opens the English Channel, right?
That is true. So it would be interesting, and I think being able to put 2 fleets in the North Sea, as long as there's not more than two spaces, can actually be a buff to England in pretty in like a decent amount of situations, because it means you can get 2 fleets on Heligoland, for example. You can get 2 fleets on Skagerrak, Denmark, Norway, without having to slip one of them past the North Sea, which is always a bit of a difficult thing to do. I said Norway. You can get 2 fleets on Norway anyway, but the other ones are where it matters.
Yeah, you can have 2 fleets on Norway and Belgium and Holland with only 2 units. It's great.
Yes, it is great. Okay, but it's not related to the board at all. What the question was why are these fleets moving east? They don't do anything in the east. Apulia is not a nice place for a fleet to be. The answer is probably just to give the look of momentum towards the east. As Turkey, I'd be sad to see Italy moving this far east, because I would want them to be moving against France, or to be staying in a position where they can move against France. But I think this Turkey may be different, because of what I know the next phase is going to entail. Shall we move ahead?
Well, it's a thing where, as Turkey, right, if I want France to attack Russia by getting Piedmont into Tyrolia, I know that Italy can't be attacking France as well.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yes, but I think that Italy, I would still want Italy to stay in Roman Naples, or at least, not pivot more towards the east, because pivoting more towards the east is going to be used against me if it's used against anyone.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go to the fall.
Yeah, let's have a look at this fall turn. And we see this army return to Bulgaria. I say return to Bulgaria, I don't think it's ever actually been in Bulgaria, unless it was the starting army, which I don't... It might actually
think it already got
been.
disbanded.
Oh, right, okay. But it's come all the way back east after getting convoyed into Spain in the first place. It's absolutely incredible.
So over the case of these turns, right, I believe it was convoyed from Greece to Tuscany, then Tuscany to Spain, then Spain to Tunis, then Tunis to Bulgaria.
Yep.
On consecutive turns.
It's hard to say how insane that is. Like, how... That doesn't happen. The fact that some of these convoys were not guaranteed as well, especially the convoy into Spain, it, like, took so much to get it there, and so much luck and or social engineering to get it into that position, and then it immediately left again. And it's gone back home. And I actually think this might be a good idea for the Turk to do, because it means that their units are more concentrated, right? The unit in Spain could have always supported a unit at home, I think. It would have been really hard for France to have actually eliminated that unit. Well, I say supported a unit at home. It doesn't support a unit at home, right? It supports itself. So it's so-so. It depends whether you want to keep France down a bit or not. But this is completely reasonable, going home and just getting your units to be close together. At the same time, as Italy, I would be quite sad to see it coming back. I would want it to be harassing France after we put so much effort into getting it into France in the first place.
Yeah.
But man, maybe they knew that we were gonna commentate this.
Italy wants it back there, clearly, because if Italy didn't want it back there, Italy wouldn't have convoyed it back.
Yeah, well, the alternative was leaving it in Tunis in this situation, so you definitely do this, right? But also they did leave Tunis open to the convoy over from Spain. And I can't imagine that was unexpected. I think that was planned initially, so yeah, unlike the French move into Tunis, which I think was definitely not planned, given that France stabbed all of the coalition members this turn. They went into Tunis, they went into Spain, they tried to take Holland from Germany, which England saved, interestingly, and they support Russia into Vienna, which screws over the Italian as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, super screws over the Italian.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, this is the problem with France, because France is so friendly with Russia. I think if I'm France, I don't go quite this hard this turn, because Russia's still on the board leading, and I don't want to flip it quite yet. I can give him a turn before doing anything. Like, I'm okay. I'm retaking Spain anyways, so I'm going to be building. I don't need to try to build 3 this turn, so I'm going to let them continue mobilizing to the east, let Italy push all of their armies out. Like, I would be happy with Italy moving from Trieste into Vienna and from Venice into Trieste, for example.
Mm-hmm.
That's great news for me. And like Tyrrhenian Sea, all that stuff getting out, right? I would love for that Congo line to move out. Also, for all of that I've been crapping on Congo lines, this is a situation where, as Italy, I kind of want to do the Congo line. Because if France stabs me, I want to still have my unit in the Tyrrhenian Sea. So by doing this, I sort of force it so that way the only way that I leave Tyrrhenian Sea is if I actually have been cooperating, right?
Yes.
So it's a nice way to hedge a little bit. So I kind of like this.
I think I agree. Like, this one, it actually ends up working much better for the Italian than if they like gone into Adriatic and Apulia and Naples.
But still, at a fundamental level, it let 5 units, be bounced by a single one.
Yes.
Right? If Russia had just moved into Vienna, then that one unit trades for 5 of mine, which is not usually a place I want to be in.
Yeah. This is true. But no, I completely agree with you. I think that as France, I wouldn't want to make this stab. I do look at the other side of the board, and I am now starting to see, hang on, this is where it might have originated from, because Germany clearly doesn't trust France, and they're actually mobilizing against France, right? They convoy Sweden back to Kiel, and they move into Ruhr. The fact that they're not moving into Burgundy seems like maybe it's defensively on Holland rather than the other way around, like rather than actually aggressive. But they clearly, this retreat into Heligoland triggered something, right? It was not something the Germans were okay with. And I mean, it makes sense. They had the option to retreat to the English Channel, and they didn't do that. So
yeah.
That
kind of telegraphs your plan there.
Yeah, and if you're France in this situation, and Germany comes to you and says, "Hey, we did not agree to this. I'm backing off of Russia completely," do you then say, "Okay, well, I'm gonna stab for as many centers as I can"?
No.
I don't think
say,
so.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. I say, hey, Italy. Germany's backing out because Germany's a little wuss. But I'm gonna work with you against Russia still. But I've also got to mess with Germany here a little bit. So, yeah. Good luck in the south.
Okay,
Clap,
here's
clap.
the single most important part of the stab, I think, right? Tyrolia supports Galicia into Vienna. It screws over Italy so much, it helps Russia out so much in the south. And if you are aware that Germany is making these moves, you move Tyrolia to Munich, right? That helps you instead. It stabs the person who's attacking you, and it doesn't annoy Italy, and it means that Russia is still on the back foot. I think that would be a much better way of doing this if you knew that the German is making these moves. Um, yeah, like
Yeah, if you know Germany's making these exact moves, but there's no guarantee that Munich moves into Ruhr, right? It could be supporting Sweden into Kiel.
that's true. But also, I think just Tyrolia support Galicia into Vienna is the most questionable part of the stab. Because anything else. Okay, so taking Spain probably isn't even a stab. If Turkey was expecting to keep that, they have too high
Yeah.
expectations.
Oh, that's definitely not a stab. That part's fine.
The move into Tunis is a little questionable. It
It's the
is kind of a stab, but you might be able to talk your way out of it on the next turn. And if it does backfire, you can say, okay, well, I'll give it back to you then. That's fine. Just keep attacking Russia, and you might be able to talk your way out of that situation. This move is the problematic one, the Tyrolia support Galicia into Vienna, because it doesn't gain you directly anything. It's saying, I am working with Russia. Whereas the rest of the stab looks just motivated by greed, right? Which is understandable. Motivated by helping the person who everyone is coalitioning against, that is less understandable, at least for those
Yep.
people.
Yep.
So yeah, I would have liked to see this unit in Tyrolia do anything else, even if the rest of the orders are exactly the same. Yeah.
Yep. All right, let's go to builds.
Alright, so, builds 1906. Army Serbia comes off, Fleet Aegean comes off. God, Italy went down too. Yeah, Tunis and Vienna. Army Sevastopol, still no fleets, but I think that's correct in this instance. Did Turkey not get a... Oh, Turkey lost Spain, of course.
Yep.
Yeah. Baltic off for Germany, so they are 100% committed to not attacking Russia at this point. Yeah, and Fleet London. We didn't mention England got Edinburgh back. You were predicting it, but it did. England even kind of traded it for their support on Hull at North Sea, because I think Germany just held that Norwegian Sea unit, right? So they let England do that. But yeah, and Fleet Brest, Army Marseille. Are there any particular thoughts on the builds here?
Would have liked to see Fleet Marseille, but
Mhm.
that's been the case every turn in this game.
I
So
I feel like I'm okay with Army Marseille just because of all those German units.
I'm just gonna
There.
move Tyrolia back to Piedmont. Like, it's fine. I don't know. I am so not scared of those German armies ever.
France is very defensible. This is true. Yeah. So it is power rankings. I think Russia is definitely still at the top.
Russia's 1, France is 2, Turkey is
Turkey's
3.
3. Those are the same as last time. Yeah.
Yep.
Who's in
What? Italy
4?
4, Germany 5.
Yeah. I'd, I actually would be tempted to put them the other way around just because
Sure.
Italy's been stabbed by France here, right? And Russia is actively attacking Italy, whereas Germany just pieced out Russia, so they're probably not gonna get attacked.
Well, different definitions of peace out. I think that Germany backed out and was trying to get Russia to not attack them, but we'll see if that actually works. I suppose there's a chance. Yeah, all right, Germany above Italy, fine. I agree.
Yeah. All right.
I was thinking that Italy's probably going to get Tunis back this year, and I struggle to see where Germany grows. Maybe Belgium though. Yeah, Belgium's plausible. I don't know. We'll see. So I think that's why I was tempted to, but I like your argument.
Yes. Okay. I mean, that makes sense. I hadn't actually looked at Tunis. They probably will. I assume that Turkey and Italy will keep working together here. That does just make sense. I don't like the fact that Italy took Serbia off. I think they should have taken one of the fleets. But at the same time, they just got stabbed hard by the Italian.
Yeah,
by the
no,
French
they're just
players,
trying
so
to. They're threatening to throw, right?
Yeah.
They're like, hey, you guys want Russia to win? Fine, I'll let Russia win too. It's all over. So, totally fine.
And I am taking Austria off the power rankings. Well played, Austria. Unfortunately, met the fate of so many Austrias of getting squeezed out by all the neighbours, despite it looking like a pretty strong start. So, basically everything is in the same order as it was before, with questionable...
Not attacking Russia.
Yeah.
That position was so set up to go after Russia, but tried to make peace, didn't work out. Get stabbed.
It was also
if you don't stab them, they will stab you. That's the thing about diplomacy.
The important thing was Italy stabbed them on the turn we were recommending they go after Russia, right? So if they actually had gone after Russia in that situation, they would have died quicker.
No, my quote-unquote attack Russia was supporting Vienna into Galicia.
That's true.
That's it. It was more defensive than what they did, but also, anyways, it's fine. Attacking, stab them before they stab you. That's the key. Life lessons.
Yep. C dot take dot.
Alright. Well, there's a difference.
It's not quite C dot take dot.
C dot take dot. It's fair. It's C dot take dot works. Alright, great. We can go to spring?
Alright, spring 1907. Okay. Well, we are seeing Russia make... Oh my god, is Turkey working with Russia now? Well, they helped Italy against France.
Yeah, France just pissed off everyone on the board, and now everyone's going to throw to Russia.
Yeah, it kind of looks that way, right? England gets pushed back this way. England is going full scale into English Channel. Germany backs out of Denmark, despite France still being adjacent to it. Basically saying, hey, Russia, this is yours now.
France pissed off everyone, so everyone's throwing to Russia rather than trying to coalition Russia. Easy.
Yeah. The one person I am surprised about, I don't see why Turkey joins in on this.
Turkey's also pissed.
But
everyone's pissed at France. That's the point. Everyone's angry. And so we're just going to throw to Russia. All right, great.
Yep. And this is
Honestly,
where I do...
that's enough of the analysis for spring. I think let's go to fall.
I do wonder whether it was entirely due to that Tyrolia unit. If they hadn't done that, I don't think this happens.
It's
but
possible.
Yeah. So, fall 1907. Okay. Well, Turkey is now convoying into Naples, which, I mean, they can definitely get away with, so it's completely fine. Italy
Wait,
does...
that's a different unit, though. Wait, no, is that the same one? That's the same one that got convoyed, right?
That is the same one that got convoyed before.
Good.
That is a world-traveling Turkish unit right there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Alright.
And Italy is still trying to put up a fight against Russia. They're trying to double support this Turkish unit into Trieste. It wouldn't have worked unless Turkey taps Serbia, which...
Well, Budapest didn't support whole Trieste. Budapest supported Galicia and India.
No.
It would have worked, but... Oh well.
It would have worked, but Turkey at this point has gone, I'm not attacking Russia either, it seems
I mean, a tap in Sevastopol.
Surely that's an arranged bounce?
Why?
Maybe it's not, actually.
If I'm Turkey and I have an arranged bounce with Russia here, I am never bouncing Russia ever.
Yeah, because you stop them from building a unit there, right? It's it's really good. Yeah, but at the same time, they're throwing Bulgaria support hold Rum, right? And Albania support hold Serbia, which is, they're just throwing in random support holds to say, hey, I'm your friend. Yeah. I mean, Turkey is going to do quite well out of all of this, I think. They're certainly going to be able to put down an extra unit because they get Naples, but just the fact that Russia is so big now, no one is going to beat this Russia. That is my assessment of this
yeah, I mean, Turkey builds, and if Turkey didn't bounce in Sev, actually, I'd feel much better about their position, because then they could support themselves into Armenia, and start putting lots of pressure on it. I don't know if I enjoy attacking Italy, right? The convoy into Naples feels like it's attacking my ally.
Yeah.
Which I want to do sometimes. And actually, I do need the build. Nah, I should have just cut Serbia and then taken Trieste. If that would have left Turkey in a much better position to fight.
And like,
But,
why not
well.
both if you're if you're doing that?
Yeah, why not both?
If
That's
Italy
great.
is suiciding anyway, then they shouldn't be that bothered if you take Naples as well, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's great. I like it. Yeah, just take both. That's great.
Yeah. Although in that situation, you don't convoy from Greece; you just attack with Ionian into Naples.
I don't.
No, because
Yeah, probably not. I need to cut. I want to cut
right?
Serbia.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fine.
But yeah, it does seem like everyone, like Italy has decided they don't want to throw to Russia. They're like angry at France still, but they're also angry at Russia. But everyone else is just done. And Russia is supporting France into Denmark. I kind of love that move because it keeps the French units alive longer, and therefore means that these people who are throwing against, who are throwing all their units into France, have to keep attacking France for longer, right? But yeah, so anything else you want to look at here?
Nah, let's go winter.
Okay. Right, so winter 1907. Army Mass Smirnov. Fleets.
Yep.
Oh my. No! Don't build Fleet Smyrna. That's.
Fine, we're throwing. It's okay. Nothing matters.
Okay. Yeah. If you wanted to try and counter, in fact, I think from this position, if you don't build Fleet Smyrna, there is still quite some possibility of countering the Russian, right? And actually, the Russians supporting into Denmark, I mentioned that it was to keep France's unit count up. It's actually probably more to keep Germany's unit count down, because if Germany gets a build here, that's also quite a big threat to the Russian if they decide not to throw. So, yeah, there is some potential, but this certainly takes away a lot of that potential, the fleet build in Smyrna. And Italy disbanding Army Tunis kind of says, hey, you know, whatever, the Turk can do what they want with that adventuring army. Maybe convoy it into Tunis now.
Yeah, maybe.
Alright. And more army builds. I'm gonna say, jolly well done to the Russian for getting this much with just Moscow armies.
Yeah, you have to build Army Moscow before you're allowed to make another build. Right? That's a fun challenge with Russia.
I love it. Alright, yeah. So, shall we go ahead to the spring?
Yeah.
Alright, spring 1908. So, we are still seeing a throw in most places. Italy supporting France into Munich. Is this just for chaos' sake now? Yeah, that doesn't seem to make much sense with the rest of what they're doing, but it doesn't really matter that much. Germany supporting the English convoy over into Picardy. It's like the tactics here are actually kind of interesting if you ignore the fact that Russia is just winning because of them, right?
Yeah, if Russia weren't at twice the second place, this would be an interesting thing to look at, but Russia is twice the second place, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it is important to note that the person in second place could have qualified, so the fight for second does actually matter a little bit. So who is actually in that contention for that second place?
We didn't tell them that, though, right?
We did say that the second places could qualify. We didn't say that there was a specific metric for it. And for the record, for people who haven't seen the finals video, the metric was Ezio used summer squares, which is a scoring system that incentivizes taking centers and making your opposition as small as possible, or making sure that your bigger opposition is smaller than they could be, right? Isn't too far ahead of you. The metric I used was just the game I enjoyed the most. Which, yeah, neither of them ended up being this game, I believe. But the people in this game, we didn't inform them of that beforehand. We didn't say that what the metrics were. We just said that there was a potential of qualifying from second place, so they didn't know what to gun for except for gunning for second, because we didn't want people just aiming for second from the start, right?
And here, I don't think anyone is aiming for second. I think here everyone's just pissed at France. They want to see France get wrecked. So.
Yeah, well, so I feel like this could be a decent second place strategy for Turkey. Just saying, hey, Russia, we're not going to fight each other. You just let me grab as much as I can from the south, right? But yeah, the north just feels Thunderdome. Well, it feels like it is just a screw you France situation from both of these players. But yeah, so shall we go ahead to full?
Sure.
All right. So I didn't mention it there, but this move from Bohemia to Munich. Oh, I got a server error. Beautiful.
Same.
Okay, I now don't have a server error. But the move from Bohemia to Munich was also quite interesting because the Russian tried to double support that down to Tyrolia. So the French player just actively said, okay, I'm not attacking Italy with you, Russia. I'm going to go and do my own thing with that unit.
We're with Germany right now. Can't spare any units anywhere else. Yep. But again, right, no one's attacking Russia, so nothing matters.
Yes. But I do still want to look at the fact that what is going on over here.
Okay.
Because England pivots against Germany. They push their army into Belgium and they're going to position on Holland here as well. It's clear that the French player kind of expected there to be some kind of joint attack on Burgundy and tried to pull their unit back to bounce it, right? And then there wasn't anything, so it just gets pulled through. But actually that might be good for them because it leaves their unit in a more defensible location, right? Just on the defensive side. I do think England is making a push for second place here. I don't think they'll be able to match it in time, though. Like, there's just not enough game years at this point. You've got 2 years left, and look how big the Turkey has gotten. You have to hope that Russia takes them down a peg.
Yeah, the fight for second place might be a thing, but these games aren't for second place. These games are to win, and Russia's gonna win.
Yeah.
So
this is Ezio basically just saying to me, "Hey, get a move on. Why are we taking?"
I'm saying, let's get a move on. We don't need to spend another hour talking about this game once it's done.
Okay.
Right? It's over. Like Russia won. They diplomatized effectively. There was a coalition, and they managed to dismantle the coalition very effectively after only a season. That's really impressive work.
Yes. Yeah. That makes sense. Shall we move to winter 1908 then?
We could move to winter 1909.
No, because we got to do our power rankings in 08.
Okay. Power rankings. Russia, then everyone else.
Okay. Well, it's Russia, then Turkey, then France, then England, then Germany, then Italy, right?
Yeah. Russia, then everyone else. You could put them all at the bottom, and if you want to put them all with, there's the biggest gap, and there's a 1 pixel gap between all of the names overlapping each other, so you can't really tell, but Turkey is technically the highest. That's how I would do it.
Okay, hang on. I'm doing that. Oh, wait,
Perfect.
but they're on the wrong layers. This is, hang on. I need to fix this. You keep commentating on these builds. I gotta do the power rankings.
Okay, so builds. We see that Germany disbanded Berlin, which is, of course, correct if you don't want to attack Russia with it. And since we're all throwing to Russia, that's fine. We see that Turkey built 2 armies. Now, this is actually useful. The armies might be able to do something against Russia. But unfortunately, as you can see by the Turkish position, there's no space for any other units. So it really doesn't matter. You can't take anything. Russia's got a bunch of units down here, and it's all fine. There might be some tactics if we move into Adriatic and Ionian.
Okay, I got the
I'd have to look at this in a second. All right, great. High level, nobody can do anything against Russia ever, and Russia doesn't have to do anything. I think maybe if France tried to throw to Turkey, then Turkey could overtake Russia if Russia also didn't do anything, but Russia can take centers if they want, so. All right, let's go to spring.
All right, spring 1909. here we go. So France is trying to support Russia out into the North Sea. Russia is not taking that. England pivoting back against France again. Oh, but they lose Liverpool in doing so. Ouch. Yeah, that's a bit of a painful one. And England can't actually make progress against France. This move doesn't get them anything. So this ends up being quite a painful turn for them. And of course, Germany has just kind of stopped doing anything because now they've gotten stabbed by the person they were working with France against. So, yeah, and we see a massive push for the Mediterranean from the Turk. Is that Rome unit going to get convoyed somewhere else? This is the final question, I think.
That would be sweet.
Yeah. Important note as well, Russia is not taking anything off the Turk, despite the fact that they could push into Greece here or try to. So they are kind of happy with Turkey going for second. But I think they will push in if Turkey looks like they're going to overtake. Russia is currently on 11, Turkey is on 8. So there's not actually that big of a gap. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say there?
Nope. I don't think anyone's going to beat Russia.
Okay, well, yeah, we can repeat that every turn for the rest of the game.
Yep.
Oh, Rome tries to convoy out in fall 1909, but it doesn't manage to get back to Spain again. Very sad. Yeah, and Italy even tries to put Turkey in Venice. Amusingly, that would have kept Italy alive here, so fighting to the last, the Italian, but doesn't manage to survive, so we will have to say goodbye to them. And meanwhile, England pivots again into trying to get Holland and also just going into Mid-Atlantic Ocean. It's just going for dots at this point, I think, but it's a bit of a long shot for them to get anything.
I think he's going to get Portugal.
Yeah, that is true. That is completely unopposable. And they can go into Portugal and then support the Turk into Spain, and then you've got that ideal Portugal position of having different powers control Mid-Atlantic Ocean and Spain. Yeah. Alright. Shall we go to winter?
Let's see it.
Alright, winter 1909. Adriatic off the board, goodbye Italy. Picardy off the board for England. I guess that makes sense. They want to keep the units that can attack Holland together, even though it's a bit of a lost cause. And Army Warsaw for the Russian. Sticking to those armies. Let's go armies to the last.
Yeah? I mean, what's the most armies you've ever seen Russia have?
That's a good question.
Probably like 14.
Yeah, it might be more than this, just because usually you do see those fleet builds from Russia, but they, especially if it's a very south-focused Russia, you won't see many fleet builds, right? Because they have to all get through Con, and that's a bit annoying to do. So you generally want to roll the board with as many armies as possible at that point. But you certainly don't see Russias with as few fleets at this having this high of a supply center count very often. Admittedly, this is because all their fleets got blown up, but yeah. Alright, shall we go to spring?
Yeah.
Alright, spring 1909. No, spring 1910. We're not going back in time. And that is the game called. They have decided that these are the final conditions. I am a bit disappointed that Rome army didn't get into Spain. I think it would have gotten supported in this year.
Yeah, I think if England took Portugal, they would have supported it into Spain.
Mm-hmm. But I guess France probably opposes that anyway, right? With 2 units, so...
France probably tries, but who knows?
So that is it's the end of the world traveling Turkish unit there.
Yeah, that's definitely what we're going to call this game.
Yes.
Traveling Turkish salesman.
This is like the clickbait title or whatever. This Turkish army traveled around the entirety of Europe. That's
You
too
won't
long.
believe how far this Turkish army traveled.
Oh yeah, top 10 provinces that this Turkish army visited.
The most an army has ever moved. The fastest an army has ever moved.
Fastest an army. I mean, it might be if you discount all of the convoys, the meme convoys from St. Petersburg to Syria that you see in some games.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was certainly a fascinating army trail. And I think this game ended up being super interesting with the attempts at a coalition and then that falling apart, right? And it had a lot of interesting moments before that. I'm sorry that we ended up speedrunning the ending, basically, but it did feel like these last years were a bit of a foregone conclusion. Yeah, super interesting. Congratulations to Maaike, who got onto the top board from this one. That was the Russia here. And we will cover we will cover all the other DiploStrats Gauntlet games in other sessions, probably not in this one, because we ended up going for just as long as we usually do.
The start of this game was super interesting, and Russia played really well.
It really was.
And then Russia played so well, the entire rest of the game was irrelevant. But that's great, right? It's awesome to be in a game where by 1905, the rest of the game feels boring because we know you're going to win. Like, that's what you want to see.
Mm-hmm. I think it was actually the coalition happened in like 1906, 1907.
Yeah, it was
right?
once the coalition broke apart that it was then over.
Yes.
But that's like, it was 1907. There were like 4 years left of the game. So that's great.
Alright, well, I'm going to call it there. Thanks all for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.